Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome once again to Blade's Escape Corner, our little corner of the internet. We get together and we talk about the things that help us escape. How are we doing today? It is Tuesday, which means we are in the political corner. And today's political corner, it is, this is, what is this, 4 in a row? 4 in a row. Ethan has the based responses. So we're gonna keep milking this e-cow until there's nothing left, until it's just spitting sand out of its teats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just keep on squeezing. As long as Hassan is squirming, we're gonna keep squeezing on this one. So hope everybody's super excited. Serranos is mad at Fire Emblem. How can you be mad at just a game? It's very, very odd. Just mad at a game in general. I'm mad at game. Not even a minute. Well, it's 2 minutes on my end, so maybe not a minute for you, but that's just stream delay coming into effect.
I am also mad at Fire Emblem.
Wait, why are you mad at Fire Emblem? What did Fire Emblem do to you?
Mostly
My
Fire
fault.
Emblem fans. But,
My fault? Why did I bring new Fire Emblem fans?
Did you see the all the shit in the Discord? I'm assuming you didn't.
I saw a lot of Fire Emblem talk in the Discord, and I put my phone back in my pocket and continued to shovel gravel. That's what I did.
You know, that was probably a better use of your time. So this dude makes a video where he's like, Fire Emblem elitists are being toxic by talking about good units in Fire Emblem when they don't have a correct criteria to be rating units. And it's just the same cringe bullshit they've always brought up, where there's no criteria for what makes a unit good, which means we can't measure whether units are good or not.
This one, the efficiency's lasting impact on the Fire Emblem community.
Yeah, fuck Ethan, watch that video.
No, Ethan's pretty good.
Being efficient, that's gay. Don't be efficient. And it's just like, well, if you don't want to talk efficiency, stop injecting yourself into efficiency conversations. Like, this was all spurred on by a group of people deciding what was like the tier list for efficient characters in Fire Emblem Engage.
I see.
And then people got pissed off when they're like, but I don't know. I didn't use those characters. It's like, we don't care. This ain't about, like, you're able to use whoever you want. Just Fire Emblem. I'm able to use a good unit and use them in a bad way because it's Fire Emblem. I don't give a shit. No one should.
Gotcha.
Moving a whole bunch of gravel, and we got ourselves some forbidden chalky milk.
Oh no.
Have you ever dug gravel so hard that it made
Moving
chocolate
a whole bunch
milk?
Of gravel.
No, what the fuck?
It's just the dust and like the dirt that's like around the gravel just mixes with water, but it comes out in this like weird brown goopy. It's so nasty.
Yeah, if someone served that to me, I'd be like, you put a little bit too much milk in this, but all right.
You've seen that? Yeah, it's like the gravel's peeing. The gravel made an oopsie doopsie. Okay.
But this dude does the same shit that whatever that dude's name is, Noah Samson does, where he's like,
oh, good. We found our own Noah Samson.
75% of people agree on this one thing, but like 11% of people don't. So the community's not really like, there's a range of opinions on this topic.
Hey, Nick Cicada is on High Trust Low Context.
Wait, what? I can't read that.
This little channel. Hold on, let's get this out of here.
Think of the Bowie knife as like not being contemplated as an arm. It clearly was. So in the same way as
Flawed Man of God
rifles,
was on this channel the other day.
As repeating rifles,
it's got 87 subscribers.
Howitzers and other and different types of cannons progress through technology.
It's just a brand new little channel.
Make some weird assertion that in 1791 they go, well, we would.
My favorite part is how he's just like,
that doesn't exist.
On a blank
that would be the
background.
originalist perspective. Now, a textualist perspective might
He's
be a little
just black
different.
and
It
white
might
again.
go, what is the actual
They're talking about the
definition of
Second
arms
Amendment, it
as
looks like.
is understood now? What are the possible textual outcomes of arms? And you literally get arms, right? But you also get arms as armaments and stuff like that. And then you try to interpret what the
It just says, where did
what
all the justice go?
what is covered rationally. And then you get this other definition, this definition or this other judicial perspective.
He's
that
wearing
a
pit
lot of liberal
vipers, too.
justices apply, which
And
is
he's
that
in black
the
and white.
Constitution is
What an
living,
odd,
breathing,
what
and
an
it
odd person.
morphs with society. And even though the language is
Here in 1791, an originalist perspective. I heard it! Whatever. That's nice of Ricada. I wonder, because that guy, Flawed Man of God, went on his channel too. I wonder if he's from their little chat group where Ricada started, where they would talk about Masterson. Trying to ape Razor Fist? Probably. Seems like a decent dude. I've listened to the Flawed Man of God chat for a bit.
I cannot believe that Razor Fist, or no, Dick Masterson blocked Lofty.
Compi, everybody.
That is the craziest shit.
You can't believe that?
No, I can't. Didn't take Dick for that much of a pussy.
Do you think it's a pussy move or a funny move? Because I could take Dick for a...
What's the joke in it? Blocking Lofty. Like, you have a disagreement with Lofty and then you block him. Like, what's
I don't know.
joke?
I don't know anything about Dick Masterson, like, at all. So I'm just throwing shit out there. Masterson's
Lofty,
a bitch. I don't respect him.
Lofty made the joke where he was like, "Ooh, something chafe vagina" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like just blocking him doesn't mean anything. Like, there's no comedic timing to it.
It's true. It's true, Lucifer. It's very true. I don't do
Yeah,
that.
you could beat him up. Oh shit! I'm just realizing what that video is.
What video?
I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but yeah, that's the Fire Emblem video.
Yeah, it's the one you told me to watch. You were like, "Oh, let's watch that instead of Ethan," even though everything is branded Ethan.
Fine,
I want to bitch about Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem discussions are coming online and expanding, with players making posts about favorite classes and units. What started as a poll asking if players enjoy using Nino has now become a 15-page thread about how Nino is bad because she isn't worth training. Except she is worth it for a perfect rank run, and she kills everything after being trained. Still, training her is too much to ask, and she's a complete waste of the precious Athos drops. In the end, no
Serene's
conclusion
Forest.
is reached,
What do you
and
think
Nino
it would
haters
be?
and lovers
I don't
must
know.
resolve that the other side will never understand.
My screen's
15 years
very
later,
blurry.
surely discussions have improved, right? Right? Great. In this video, I would like to address discussions of gameplay and strategy in the Fire Emblem community. Whether players intended it or not, certain methods of demonstrating skill have been unfairly elevated above others, and many players have been denied from having their contributions taken seriously as a result. Even among players who consider themselves to play in this.
I'm sorry. Does anyone saying anything about how to play a game stop you from playing it however you want?
Apparently, it does.
I'm pretty
especially in
sure I
single-player
get
games.
told how to play every game I sit down to, and I just do whatever like, you don't have to fight him. I'm like, I'm gonna fight him. Like, why would I not fight him?
Exactly. Like,
Is this
people
the
telling
Fire
you-
Emblem Manifesto? Sounds like it.
this is literally the issue of people discussing what's good to use in a single-player game, and people being like, "Oh my god, I'm not using what they're using. I need to be using what they're using." Shit. Like, that is the entire issue. People looking at other people talking about what's good in a single player game and being like, "Oh, I should probably be using that, shouldn't I?" Shit.
How's this person get 4.6 thousand views on this video?
Oh, because it went big on Fire Emblem Reddit or whatever.
Oh wow. This person has 132 subscribers.
He's not good.
It's
His
cleanly
taking his
art.
videos very bad. That's why.
Fe Fates. Expert at having fun playing Fire Emblem.
He's just a liar at that point.
Check
You
out
don't
their
have fun
Twitter.
No one has fun playing Fire Emblem. That's a lie.
True. That's a lie. Repost. Rough draft for the efficiency video. A little long at 25 pages. Trim it down a little bit. Okay. Survey. Oh, they sent out a survey for the Fire Emblem problem, efficiency. It's no longer
Yeah.
accepting responses. I can't
It was
look
two
at it.
2 weeks ago he did that for the video. Yeah, it had 1K less just this morning when I was watching it.
Part 2. Binding Blade tier list. What about this tier list? How does this stack up on the
It's
Michael
bullshit.
scale?
It's a joke tier list. That's the whole point.
Okay. Is it funny? You said joke tier list.
Because there's
funny?
only 3 units on it. That's why it's a joke.
Oh. You'll link it? I don't even know if I want to watch this whole video.
Look, if you're not ready for a Fire Emblem discussion, just go watch Walsh.
I wouldn't watch Vosh. Why would I watch Vosh?
I don't know. You look like the kind of guy to watch Walsh.
I mean, I have watched Vosh at this point.
Oh, well, I think we proved our point then.
I don't know. I think chat's against you in this one. Sum up his point. He just says people going for efficiency makes the game less fun if you listen to them. And people just don't have the balls to do what they want to do in a game because everybody's just chopping them off at this point. Is that the do I have the argument?
Kinda?
Okay, cool. Alrighty. In any normal world, Ethan and I would be having a discussion about how an increased social safety net leads to less efficient economies. That at some point, yes, it is sort of a societal moral good in order to take care of the poor and the unable. But at a certain point, that hits a level of creating laziness, we'll say, in the culture. And that would be a sane world. But we're in clown world, which means that I'm with Ethan asking the simple questions of communism and laughing when communism is like, and just doesn't have simple, quick answers. How do I hire somebody? Well, we get everybody together, then we would decide, decide on what? Their wage? Like that. This all just sounds like a more complicated form of capitalism to me. But I think at the end of the day, what surprises me most about this entire discussion is that Hassan is super hiding his power level. All of these discussions, I think we find out that Hassan has been hiding his power level. He knows so many terms and writings, and whether he knows them by I read them and learned them. He was a correspondent with TYT, so maybe he did, learn a lot there. He's had an affluent childhood, so he had time to learn stuff. Whether he learned it himself or he's just learned the talking points and is able to repeat them, either way, he knows a lot more about how socialism works on a fundamental level than he seems to let on in a lot of his himbo humor. And it really, really shocked me watching this to be like, wait a minute, you do know what this means. Mm-hmm. You do, because sometimes you listen to him and you're like, I don't think you know what this results in. And then you watch this and you're like, oh no, he knows.
He obviously knows a lot of it, and he keeps trying to present himself as, no, I'm just the face of it. I'm not actually the guy to put anything into practice.
What's this one?
Get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium from Boost Infinite and transcend.
Right now, we're proving we don't need corporations. We don't need money. This can become a commune where everyone just helps each other. Yeah, we'll have one guy who makes bread, and one guy who he looks out for other people's safety.
You mean like a baker and a cop?
No, can't you imagine a place where people
it's exactly together, like this.
Provide services for each other in exchange for their services?
Yeah, it's called a town.
You kids just haven't been to college yet.
But just you wait.
It's
this
true.
thing is about to get huge.
It's exactly like that. Exactly like that. Too much autism for me, but I wouldn't want to self-torture myself with Walsh either. I'd rather Ethan do. And we're gonna rock them at 1.5 to make up for the Tourette's.
Hello.
And it's also
We are all domestic terrorists.
That's right. And you've owned me too hard. Let's just get it out of the. Let's just start off by saying, this is the last episode of Leftovers.
Yeah, after our last episode in the heated debate that we had, I realized that I was a class traitor, and that
I don't know why people said that, because that's a good thing in your situation to be a class.
I don't think they meant it like that.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I like what you're saying though.
You'd be like Engels, you know what I mean? Like the guy who co-authored it and was facilitating it, but also had a factory. You know what I mean?
All you need is to build housing and a food supply and surplus to sell for taxes.
So that's not a bad thing. Engels was a class traitor.
That's right. That's me. I'm Engels.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But there was crazy fallout from our last episode, which is kind of nuts because
Okay, and I've also got his
it seemed
chat
like a lot of
here
people did like the conversation. I myself am pretty ignorant
because
on
it's pretty
the
hilarious.
methods of governing and histories and all that. So I do think this conversation of I'm not even gonna say capitalism because that seems to trigger people. I'm just gonna say social democracy.
Okay.
I don't think he's as ignorant as he claims to be. I think he quite easily, just having lived in the world, raising children, understands quite a bit how a lot of governance works just from that, and also dealing with Israel and America. I think he gets a lot of it, but I think he also is sort of playing dumb sometimes.
You hear me say capitalism, they shit their fucking britches.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, well, first of all, we're online. So no matter what you say, people are going to be very passionate about it. One of the things that I do quite frequently is yell at people to be normal, because people just have no fucking way of being normal online. So there's that problem.
Can you
And
say,
the other
we
side of it
see
is,
any
there's a lot
link of him doing that?
Baby socialists
Probably
out
all
there
of
who are
them.
on their own journey, okay? And they get really passionate. And the goal always is oh my God, we have to convert every single person to socialism immediately.
Or anyone to the right of me is part of the problem.
There's that too, but
It's
of
like
course,
like the new Christian who has to go run around and
it
they're
takes
just
a while.
they're
It
like
takes a while to engage
converting
in,
everybody. Anybody who learns
any
some
kind
sort of
movement
belief
building. And
system
it's something I stress quite a bit.
initially
It's
is
hard to tell how
like,
much of it
I learned this and this is what made it real for
regardless,
me.
I was
and
actually
it's gonna be
invigorated by the
true for
conversation
everybody.
in that, I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I've been thinking about our conversation a lot, and I've been educating myself a lot. And I want to continue the conversation today, but I don't want to have a debate. I want to have I want to go on a fact-finding journey for myself about how socialism is addressing certain issues versus social democracy.
Okay.
And to understand from you, a socialist, what really that is and how would it be, enacted. Dan, are you a socialist, would you say?
I'd broadly I'd say so.
Say yes.
Dude,
God, you're such a wuss.
Dude, everybody was riding for you guys.
This is Ethan's McCarthy trials. It's like, would you say you're a card-carrying communist? Okay, very good.
No, being a socialist is cool, apparently, online.
No, dude, it's like there are
right.
it's
super cool.
It is
for as
cool.
many
It
very
is
low.
cool.
Well, of course, there's a
But
lot of
you're for the
people here.
bro.
There's a lot of people here that would be there are very few places
we
online where you
skip to the
is a really
discussion.
weird-
So,
What did you do? What did you read? What kind of research did you
I
do?
had a very in-depth conversation with ChatGPT.
Respect. Okay, that's good.
I asked it really kind of.
Well, Beige Bear thinks it's socialist, like ChatGPT socialist. So like ChatGPT probably Lenin.
is
Right,
so
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
ChatGPT keeps it so real.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
like
ChatGPT
this
Lenin
head.
pilled you.
So,
Yeah.
is Lenin a socialist? or
Oh,
a
what is
social
this
democrat?
head?
That's Lenin is the revolutionary figure that is probably more important than Marx even.
What's his deal? He's just a socialist.
Yes, he's
Alright.
the first. Like, I mean, this is
Lenin, just a
this is the
socialist. You
father
heard
of
it
the
here.
USSR.
That was a nice legacy to have.
Could have been.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Could
I
have been.
should've- I
No.
never started.
You're no. There's nothing. I don't think it's that controversial to say that like
Yeah, I mean USSR. Or well, Joseph Stalin was basically. Whatever. That's not what I want to get
Better
into right now.
recharge,
Stalin definitely
lower
had a lot of issues. I
capacity.
will admit.
First, I want to say that I promote my shit all the time on the show, so now I want to give Hassan a
You
shout out.
can't. There's no reason to promote it. It's already all sold out.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Good for you.
New ideology drop immediately sold out. Kind of annoying that it sold out so quick, but I'm sorry. Except for the hoodie that I'm wearing currently. That's it.
Which one is that?
It's the
This one?
Haas Anger.
You know, that sounds like something that could only happen in capitalism, is releasing a set of clothing that is all you in your name. I don't see this I don't see this in communism. What's it called? Ideology? Ideology. The Hassanger management. Capitalism is voluntary. I mean, it kind of is. You could go be a Marxist. You could go be a communist inside of capitalism pretty easily.
I mean, he's choosing to be capitalist.
I don't like him using the name of John Brown here. John Brown Hunting Club. He's got an AR, an AK. Is that an LMT? Looks like an LMT.
Wow, you can save $5 on his merch right now.
Get a Himbo Fitness shirt, everybody. Super communist here. Oh, it's freaking fruit fly.
Your management one. Yeah.
Communist must be the best thing that ever.
Quick.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to hear it.
What kind of countries have prospered because of it?
Yeah, that's the vibes.
Buy it now.
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you. Scum, capitalist scum.
I fucking love it, dude.
Capitalist
I know
scum.
You
Yeah.
nice people for that. Of course, TeddyFresh.com is that sale going on.
Oh my gosh, are we
support
still
my
doing
exploited
ads?
Dude, this man has his own doc, dude.
Oh,
Well, no.
I love that.
well, it's officially over.
I've seen enough secession to know that he's going to come back.
That's actually not a bad assessment.
He's not going to
Yeah,
lose.
Lackland is the behind what's happening to Rupert.
Happening to Rupe.
Up until this.
Like,
Rupert
who cares?
Murdoch, hands
No,
over
I feel like there's this assessment from economists that there's going to be a major, and it's already started, a major boom in the geriatric care and palliative care.
Like actual baby boom.
They're not actually. Some of them are baby.
Right.
Bigger.
Okay. So we know it's coming. Old people getting older.
Kill.
Well, wouldn't you argue that morphine?
Nothing's stopping Hassan to give his fortune away and living under an LA overpass. People like Hassan always say, "Oh, what do you think? It's going to take just one person with money? Like it doesn't. It takes more than just one person with money to fix a system." It's like, but one person starts to fix the system. You could start. You could literally, with how much money Hassan has and makes, he could buy a giant apartment complex and offer it only to the homeless or only to like trans people, or he could make it super like specific to his block. Oh, I got it. I just grabbed that fly out of the air. That was amazing.
Yeah, that won't turn into like a crack house or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he could do that. He could do that.
Yeah.
He can sign up and he can be one of those, there's like a special type of investor you have to be to invest in big stuff like that, but I'm sure he's got the cash to do it.
The funny thing is, if I had his money, that's the exact thing I would do.
Buy
Is
an
invest
apartment
in
complex.
rental properties and shit like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean, if he wants to be all like altruistic and be like, we need to make the communist utopia, go make it. There's a lot of space out in Vegas. Just go 50 miles outside of Vegas. You'll be fine.
No one wants to live in that heat, dude.
Yeah, but that's why you air condition your big
If
facility,
your
right?
AC breaks, you're just dead.
You just die.
Yeah, that's like,
Oh,
You know
well,
when
I
you
guess
wake
that'll
up-
just be what the communists have to deal with.
you know when you wake up camping and you're in a tent, but it's like hot the next day, so your tent happens to be 20 degrees hotter than outside?
No.
You haven't had that where you wake up and your tent's 20 degrees hotter than outside?
Around here, we hang a tarp over our tent to have enough waterproofing to stay dry.
Okay, yeah, we don't have rain that bad.
So
over
no,
here.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
okay.
that's like.
But it's kind of like
I've
that.
been
You'll
in a
just-
sauna. I've been in those.
Yeah, you'll just wake up in a sauna, and there's
Mm.
nothing you can do, and you will die.
That would suck.
Maybe better.
But like, there's massive
Yeah,
consequences.
I mean,
it's the same drug.
right, in a way.
It's just
that
a matter
already
of
happens
intensity.
with morphine
But
trips.
there's no drawback because obviously you don't want to be an addict during the middle of your life. There's so much you need to do, and being a heroin addict is just not compatible with living a normal life. But if you're in a retirement home, then
I feel like it's also more ethical than the
Let's
way
get
that they
it.
currently operate those places because it's like full of fucking theft and like
our boy
assault.
David P&P is making a cleaning, dude, suing all these elderly homes. Anyway, let's move on. Let's
There's a
get.
lot of awful
We have a
shit
lot to
happening there.
discuss. But we should get into that.
But, like run an elderly care facility.
And then all the fans can send their parents.
Yeah.
And we'll kick it back to them. We'll give
and
them
we'll
half.
just fucking give them heroin. And then the goal is
Yeah,
we
there
take
you
half
go.
of the inheritance. We take half of the
I
inheritance
can't
and then the
even
other half
afford
goes to
rain.
the
It's
children.
It goes back to them because they weren't gonna get that money.
And that way, it doesn't even get hit by the estate tax because we already fucking taxed them.
Found it.
Boom.
That's not how taxes work.
All right, first I want to make this clear.
Capitalism is not innovative, but we just innovated under capitalism.
I agree.
So fucking true. That's the entrepreneurial spirit.
I agree.
Dude, by the way, Gary Vee is gonna do this.
You might
Yo, I've got a great idea. Let's make NFT critters out of your dead grandparents, you guys.
Bro, you know, I saw like a statistic. I don't know how fucking true it is, but like, I mean, it feels very real. 95% of the NFT marketplace is now $0.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell us
it's
how
collapsed
taxes
completely.
work.
So crazy how none of those people, none of those fucking
You
charlatans
can get double
that were
taxed on
advocating for this shit
everything.
and trying to get you to hold the goddamn bag have been punished for it, including Gary Vaynerchuk, as a matter of fact.
You just
So
turn
many-
all your
quiet on
income
the
into like
friends,
business
bro.
income.
Dude, it's like it should be studied how fast the media jumped on that train and was like, or at least alternative media outlets
Have you considered this?
I don't
jumped
think-
on it and were like pushing for it.
Have you considered this?
Fortune
Do you
Days
not
break,
remember
don't shut
when
up,
I
I'm gonna
said
buy crypto right now, dude.
Have you
you
considered
could
that
tax
Matt Damon thinks
a
Fortune favors the
dollar
brave,
and it
aka
would
the
still
dumb?
make
Matt Damon,
money
son
worth
of-
something?
Son of a like activist teacher,
What?
actually legitimately like a pretty, like back in the day at least, like old die in the wool lefty, fucking shilling cryptocurrency. You can't, you know.
Fortune favors the brave, my friend. All right, so one thing I want to make clear before we engulf on
Taxes
this
are like sandwiches.
conversation
Yep.
is that
Nobody knows what
me
they
and you
mean.
pretty much have like 95% crossover.
Okay, here
in
we
terms
go.
Of like our goal for the welfare of the people of our utopian society.
Yeah.
I mean, my guiding hope in social democracy is that you can take the both of best worlds, socialism and capitalism, and create a world where the poorest are cared for, where people can get free education, where people can get free housing, or not free but guaranteed housing, where they get guaranteed education, higher education, all this stuff. Okay?
The only
So
reason
let's
we
talk about
don't
this.
have
Now, my
guaranteed
first question
housing
is
for
this.
everybody is because everybody
Given
wants
that,
to live in
you
the
know, in a
same
social
10
democracy, we can
cities.
regulate things
If
like
everybody
taxes,
didn't
housing,
want to
higher
live in the
education,
same
all
10
this kind of
cities,
stuff. What are the
housing
problems
wouldn't be the problem
in
that it
social
is for
democracy that we
everybody.
need socialism to address? What is it socialism?
No,
does
no,
in
no,
social
no, no.
democracy
They
that we
just
do?
didn't plan it
So-
right.
Social democracy is
Yeah,
still
they
capitalist,
didn't plan it right.
with you know,
If they
serious,
just planned
severe
it
market regulations,
better,
right?
then like you know.
Some forms of viable social democracies you
Are
can
you
point
gonna,
to right now is places
fix
like Norway,
that
an example I
giant
use
boom
regularly.
tower? No?
The issue
Okay.
is
Holy
twofold.
crap.
One, social democracies don't address some of the domestic problems because when there's still
What
capital
domestic
accumulation-
problem?
Which domestic problem?
Domestic
Yeah,
problems
there you
such
go,
as labor
Ethan.
issues, homelessness, like there's no way to fully eradicate that because the inherent class contradiction between the owner class and the labor class still
Like that's an
exists.
assumption. I don't know that that's true. That there's just going to be there's not going to be homelessness in
Well-
socialism, but there will in social democracy.
Well, the idea is that completely abolishing the profit motive in certain commodities like housing, for example, will address that problem because then you're
That's
making
not how that
housing
works.
specifically for need rather
You
than
don't just
so you can
abolish
make
the
money off
profit
of
motive.
existing units.
Right, but
Yeah,
right,
we
there's government
also
housing, like, for
abolished an
example.
entire
I think that
fucking
exists in Sweden,
industry, and now it's
where-
hard.
As long as there are
What?
humans, there will be
So
profit
there's not a
motives.
Profit motive. There's a humanitarian effort to house the people that need.
Oh
homes.
no!
He was eating a napkin.
You know, so
Oh,
I
no,
don't know
they
what you
hit the
mean that
tower.
there's homelessness won't exist in socialism, but oh, nasty.
Oh yeah, she's eating all your tissues. Sorry.
That's gross.
I don't know. The dog. The dog is eating stuff.
Yeah, she being a nasty girl
Better
today.
used to do that. I was,
She being a real freak. Sorry, what were
like,
you
what's the
saying?
homelessness in Sweden? That's just as a, I mean,
Oh,
Not
before we
big
look at
deal,
those
though.
numbers, something to consider, something to remember always is that homelessness is tracked very differently in different countries.
okay.
Dude,
So like
so
those
over.
numbers will always be, those numbers can be very different. Like you can think like, oh, it's so much worse. Like rape statistics in Sweden. If you look at that, I think
Let's
Love
say-
can attest to this too. You'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? It's crazy out there. People are raping like crazy, and it's because they have a different methodology for tracking rape. Like each individual act of sexual assault is tracked as like is written.
You know
So is
what
he
about
saying
rape?
that we can't believe the stats because the stats are being manipulated?
Apparently, but also,
Okay.
why do you know so much about these stats? It's on.
Yeah, he's like, you know, the rape stats are highly overblown in Sweden. Okay, why is that? Wait.
Written up as like one
So then
individual.
the actual number then isn't that important, but we acknowledge that
Wait, what do we
in a
acknowledge?
social democracy that's run ideally, the homeless and whoever else needs a home for whatever reason would be provided one. So I don't understand what socialism does better in that case.
At the end of the day, these countries, the social democracies that we were talking about, still have a lot of wealthy individuals, a lot of people who are making money off of finance capital.
The problem with a social democracy for a communist. Here's the moral of the story. Okay, I'll skip to the end. Here's a spoiler on this whole video. The problem with a social democracy for the communist is there's still people who are richer than them. That is the ultimate problem. You hate listening to playback on Ben Shapiro mode? Wait, why? I'll slow it down a little bit, but we're keeping it at least faster than 1 times. That's what this entire video is going to be. The thing that blows my mind is that this is Hassan's argument that we need communism in order to remove the hierarchy, the fact that some people have and some people don't have. But his idea is that here's how he frames it. Capitalism is some people have and some people have not. But in communism, some people have and some people have more. And that's okay. But the way that have and have not, like that's how he says it in this video. And it's like, it's so insane to phrase things like that. People who have not in America still have. People who have not under capitalism still have. That's the thing that some people just don't understand. Whereas like under communism, people have literally been starved. Like they are so have not that they die from the inability to eat food. And you can be as whiny about food deserts or talk about how Walmart is destroying local grocery stores. Like, sure, you can complain about what happens in America, but at the end of the day, we have food banks that hand out food. I was in, where the heck was I? Halfway between Seattle here and Portland is this little tiny town, little nothing town, and has a dead mall there. But you know what that mall had when we parked? Because it had electric charging, so we parked our EV and we were charging up, and we wandered the mall and we're like, man, it is kind of crazy that malls are they're empty now. What it did have, it had two things. It had a library and it had a food bank. Like, where is your library and food bank under communism?
The food bank is just where you shop for groceries.
Yeah, the food bank is where you pray groceries exist.
Capital and capitalism in general, and their interests are always going to be to further erode the welfare state as best as they possibly can in an effort to claw back all of those areas that they could still technically
You're
privatize.
putting that on them, but that's not. If you have a strong social democracy, that wouldn't be possible.
Well,
my question to you would be, if everybody's provided for in the society adequately and fairly, then why do you care how much money somebody has?
Because, well, first of all, I don't, but the real reason is not necessarily money, but more so how people make their money. And
so it's
how
not
people
about
make their
the money.
being through capital accumulation is always going to
how
work
else
to
do you get
erode this
money
nation-
than
the
capital
social democratic state that
accumulation?
you're mentioning, and the example I will use is Europe, because like if you look at European social democratic reforms throughout history, things that a lot of people take for granted, even the NHS in the UK, for example, is not immediately privatized, obviously, but
like
it
honestly,
is crippled.
if you eventually have people who have and other people who have not, and like how do they get it? They accumulate. Sure, let's say it's not capital because we have like a capitalist utopia that has eradicated the like monetary system, so we no longer use a fiat currency of any kind. It is a moneyless society. The have and have-nots will still accumulate resources. Like something will be accumulated. I don't understand this. It's because they accumulate capital. That's the problem.
Pulled under conservative administrations deliberately, specifically so that they can inevitably privatize certain aspects of it. It's kind of like how the same neoliberal reforms under the Reagan era wanted to openly starve the beast, the American government, which is why Americans no longer have any sort of confidence in the government to do any kind of social amenities, any kind of offerings, right? Like, you understand, you and I, we both are in the highest tax bracket. We live in Los Angeles, California. We pay a fuck ton of taxes. We pay like European taxes, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is,
and that's not good enough.
That those taxes don't necessarily go to the places that we would love for them to be spent on.
Definitely.
Roads, schools, libraries.
What's that have to do with social democracy? That like my utopian social democracy? Well, because all that money in this situation, it does go to those places.
Because America is still a capitalist nation, just like all of these other countries.
Oh, because
are.
capitalism
And in a capitalist nation,
bad.
you're always going to have.
Because you can't have it because
Well, let me ask you this
capitalism
then.
bad.
In a socialist nation, on the other flip of the coin, wouldn't you also have a similar movement of people, a party of people wanting to move towards capitalism?
there will probably there will always be people
what's
who
the
are
difference?
counter-revolutionary.
Well, not just that. I mean, there's a move because capitalism, social democracy. There's a certain level of individualism that you don't have with socialism, perhaps I would say, and so I would ask you, what's the difference?
Hassan completely unaware just how much is spent on roads.
In Albion, no matter where you go or what
And especially in
your mouth will
California.
accompany you on your journey. Perhaps you'll pick the ox, a merchant's best friend. It can carry anything you throw at it.
In his defense, it doesn't feel like they spend a lot.
Or the fearless armored horse. It doesn't
There
mind
we go.
riding even into certain death. And in case you want to
Or skip
cosplay
this
as the
the rich people are always gonna be trying to erode the system. That's an assumption, by the way.
Well, it's not an assumption necessarily as
Well, it's not
descriptive in comparison to like. I mean, it's descriptive if you look at how it has played itself out in Europe, where we.
And you're right. I agree. That's what they'll be doing. So I'm not even gonna argue.
Even America. America had a lot of social democratic principles in the New Deal.
I'm not even gonna argue that.
Oh,
I
the
do
New
think that
Deal,
in a
great.
socialist
Tell me
country,
more about
like
how
I
that
said, There's
worked.
going to be a sizable amount of people moving towards capitalism. So what's the difference?
I don't know if it'll be as sizable, and there also always has to be a state
it.
mechanism of control, which exists in neoliberal capitalism as well. And this is actually an area where I
Okay,
very
shields
much
are down.
diverge from other socialists, I would say, or even more orthodox Marxists. That I believe the neoliberal
Orthodox
mechanisms of
Marxism,
control,
you heard it.
specifically. It's just, how do I describe it? Free market. Markets are better than the government at dealing with everything.
Okay.
So I think that
It's true, markets are better than the
as
government.
as possible. There's two different types of control. Control is always going to happen. This is what the
Do we all know why markets are better than the government? Because the market reacts quickly at the local level, whereas the government acts broadly from the top down. So if you want something to happen quickly, which we do in a market, we want the market to adapt and change very, very quickly and easily. That requires something locally to occur with direct control from like a business owner, then stretching out from there to react to what the clientele needs. Whereas if you have a top-down approach, you just get these huge problems with bureaucracy, slowing everything down.
Yeah, it's really funny because that's always explained to us that businesses really like start failing once it's entirely centralized at the top, the very top. The CEO makes all this decision.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the CEO if he knows enough about all his shit or not. You know, some CEOs do. Some CEOs are they were in the trenches. They knew how to start it. They knew what's up. Others are I got the job because I just worked at a place long enough, and then I left that place and worked at a different place. And like you got some garbage CEOs out there. I'm never gonna say, oh, CEO always better.
Yeah, the issue is they never then go and apply it to.
Are you 1,000 feet away from your phone right now? Like
fucking hell.
I'm
Okay,
trying to like
can you hear
talk
me
to
now? Can
me
you hear
from
me
like
now?
the next county.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, it's the same loudness.
Fuck you.
No, fuck you. You don't
Okay.
have to be here while I talk about Hassan.
Damn, I can't have shit, man. I can't do shit. I can't be cooking for myself while adding shit. I can't do shit.
In 2021, California spent $2 billion on roads from a $38 billion budget surplus. Jeez. Counter-revolutionary is so loaded, yes. But only counter-revolutionary is only good if it goes one direction.
Right? Under liberal capitalist democracies in the West, you have a neoliberal mechanism of control that dulls the masses through commodities, gives you the false notion of choice.
The water
You
level's
feel like you have
falling.
32
These
different
aren't
brands of
coming
Oreos, even
up?
though they're like owned by 3 companies.
Okay,
like
I
Price
thought
Fix,
so.
right? And they basically control all matter of commodities, and those markets are completely captured. But there's this idea that there are, this endless, boundless amount of choices that you can choose from. On the other side, the more authoritarian mechanisms of control, which have existed
What's your opinion?
I like the neoliberal one. I think that even in a socialist state, you should still very much give the people the false notion of choice and make it feel like they have a say in the process.
False
while doing
notion
the
of
bidding
choice. Wait, hold on. I think you should give people the false. So you think that there's an illusion of choice when it comes to products, that at the end of the day, everything you buy at your grocery store goes to the same person at the end of the day. and you think that's the better system? You're like, oh, I don't like the communist one. I think I'd rather use this false one still. You're literally calling it fake. You're saying this doesn't work, which means if you think it's fake, then you think people need that illusion of choice in order to not, like, rebel. It's the first one that got my spidey sense tingling. That, like, he kind of understands more communism than he lets on.
I mean, it's a pretty cynical worldview, but I think that, you know, that's what states are supposed to do.
Let me ask you this.
And that will create a structure where there are significantly less people who are like, I hate the system right now. I don't feel happy. I don't feel good in the system that I exist under. So I should, you know, do counter-revolutionary capitalist reforms.
Well, and likewise, I don't think there's that many people in Sweden or Norway who are saying, no, we need to move to a pure socialist because everybody there is provided for. I don't think there's a large. I'm speaking out of
No,
turn
you're
here.
you're absolutely right. You're actually 100% correct.
So like
some Orthodox Marxists actually hate the welfare state for this reason, because the welfare state is a continuation of capitalism by offering offering certain amenities.
Seems like
the liberal capitalism has thrived and has created a structure where like the inherent contradictions that exist under capitalism that I think everyone would agree with, including yourself. Those inherent contradictions become a little bit more muddied, and they never end up getting to a point where they converge and capitalism erodes into some.
Just say revolution. Why does it have to be like capitalism erodes? He's saying that because we have a welfare state, people are too happy to ever rebel. You can't get enough people upset at capitalism in order to get a revolution. That's what he just said, but he wouldn't say it. I don't like say it.
Socialist formation.
Let me be, I guess, more specific. If you're in a socialist country, is there one party or multiple parties?
It depends. I mean,
because one party.
Just say one or two.
Party's scared, right? Can we agree on that? A one-party system is not a good system.
I think you and I would agree that we.
No, I'm just asking you. I don't care about the United States.
Oh, I gotta eliminate Carla.
I think that there are different forms of governance, and the United States is not that different.
I don't care about the United States. I want to know. I just want to talk about a socialist.
I think that no matter what happens, the state does what the state is supposed to do. You can either do it at the behest of your citizens because you genuinely, earnestly believe that like that is the best possible way of developing a society, or you do it at the behest of capital owners. And
at the end of the day, the state does what it's going to do. What? How does that mean whether you want like one or the other? You're gonna tell me? Like, I hate these one-party people that are like, it's only one party at the end of the day because, you see, when someone gets elected, they fall in line. It's like, do they fall in line or do they just realize when they get elected that, like, you can't get that many people to agree? And so trying to, like, change stuff is just, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of people don't want to do that work. And they were in a popularity contest. They didn't really have, like, big aspirations to do these things. But does anybody really believe that, AOC, Mitch McConnell, and Ted Cruz all agree on the direction the country should go? Like, do we all believe that? No, that's insane.
Capitalism.
So you're saying you don't think it matters if there's one party or?
I don't think it matters as far as I care about direct democratic participation in local in local
one-party systems with socialism or communism has pretty much always been a catastrophe, a humanitarian disaster.
No, I agree with that.
There's just so much risk in having one party.
I agree with that. I think that a multi-party system is obviously going to be better. My point is that it doesn't even matter if you have a parliament. It doesn't even matter if you have a multi-party system. The changes that are being made in one direction or the other are oftentimes incredibly marginal. And the differences are not born out of like you know, the party disagreements. The differences are born out of like genuine material conflict. Like even including like the Civil War. It's never like the kindness of people's or like one party of individuals being like, we are kind, we want to do good things, and the other side is bad, and they want to do bad things.
So what I want to say was this then. If you're in a socialist country with multiple parties, and one of the parties is a capitalist party, which would surely exist, what would you do if that party started gaining momentum? And it was clearly like people wanted that route. They wanted that route. So what do you do?
I think I would do what America has done. Not to the same degree. Not to the same degree as like you know, McCarthyist trials or anything like that.
Say what you would do.
But I would offer additional amenities to ensure that people are comfortable and happy, because I feel like
what do you do if they're like, nah, fuck that, we're doing capitalism?
I'd offer additional amenities to make sure people are comfortable and happy and don't want to rebel against me.
Which I think we can both agree is not under capitalism and has not happened.
No.
If all of those problems have been solved, then there is no need for conflict of that regard.
But they're saying, no, we want to do, because they're like, yo, this is a free country, right? Well, we want to do capitalism. We think the market should regulate the prices and shit. Like, we don't think the workplace should be socialized.
Okay, that's a great question.
And what about
you have to ask why though, at that point? Because
people never can be explained by why anyway. You know what I mean?
Some people are gonna be dumb. You're right.
It's like you don't. It's just gonna exist. You know it is.
Yeah.
And so if the will of the people is to go back to do more of a social democracy, is that something that a socialist country should move towards, or should there be resistance in the government to keep socialism?
I think the resistance should be akin to how capitalist governments have resisted historically any kind of socialist movement, not to that same degree of violence, but I think that yes, the solution to that would always be education. And
education?
More.
You just want to educate people?
Re-education, certainly. Yeah.
Re-education?
That's like a trigger word. No, not like that.
What do you mean not like that?
It's a trigger word because everyone goes, "Oh, re-education." What do you mean? Like immediately people think like, are you talking about like resident schools? Are you talking about Xinjiang? Yeah, 100%. They do. They do it. They did it in Xinjiang, which I think
good, right?
No, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it was good. This is something I have openly criticized as well. Like
so re-education bad, but re-education good.
They built in Xinjiang is not good.
So what would be good about a socialist?
How do you like give them more stuff, but re-educate them in not a camp? Like what are you re-educating them in? Where are you putting people for their re-education?
The real question is, would all their video games have capitalist bad guys, or would they just not have any sign of capitalism in it?
They wouldn't even have video games. That's the answer. What if I don't want to go to re-education? Exactly! Every law ends in a bullet.
This re-education camp for capitalists.
It wouldn't necessarily. I don't think it'd be camps. I mean, it depends on crimes, right? Like, are people committing crimes at the behest of this? Because if there's a socialist state and someone is doing like white terror, let's say, or someone is doing South Korean style,
what's white terror?
Which has happened historically in every country that America is aligned with, because they were anti-communist, where they've launched, military dictatorships, whether we recognize it or not. Those things have happened, right? So in a situation like that, I think if there's any kind of like terrorism happening,
sure, yeah. If there's violence, then yes, that's obvious.
I do think that.
Okay, they go to a camp if they're violent,
and in that enforcement mechanism, I think like rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well.
Define violence
a lot better.
I looked up what white
than
terror
like,
is. It's
a prison structure where they have slavery, like in the United States of America.
I'm still a little bit confused about the ideal mechanism of a socialist country, whereas where people still have individual freedoms to like form, to assemble. And it can also be like, yeah, I'm a capitalist, so what? And we're trying to grow our movement. I don't understand the organization.
Is Hassan pro-white guilt? Maybe. Hassan sometimes views himself as white and sometimes views himself as Turkish. Does have cash remove their access to all money until they comply?
Of the socialist free country, because it seems to me to have a socialist country, there needs to be some amount of dampening of rights.
True.
Well, because like for what I said.
Yes and no, because
yes and yes, actually.
It's that this is a constant. This is consistent. What you're describing is consistent with the American formation. It's consistent with capitalism. It's just a reality that will always exist.
Mm-hmm.
Violence and who gets
just a reality that will always exist.
An inherent part of politics, because politics is at the end of the day a distribution of resources and a distribution of violence. Who gets to have what resources and who doesn't have the resources as a consequence of that. And if they do something to get those resources, what the state will be able to do. The state has a monopoly on violence across the board, no matter what happens, right? I'm not an anarchist. A lot of anarchists will get mad at me for saying this, but the state should have some level of
monopoly of violence.
Stronger protection against
state cock
than the industry-leading synthetic.
Tonight's Hell in a Cell, White Terror versus the Red Menace.
Violent mechanism, because no matter what happens, and there's different forms of violence as well. The structural violence of poverty, or direct violence in the
structural violence of poverty.
Military, boots on the ground.
What does that mean?
Warfare, imperialism, police
what
violence.
What is the structural violence
all different forms of violence?
There will be some exertional force required to maintain a socialist country.
Yes, not just a social country, any country.
Sure, any country.
Yes, I agree. Until we reach a point of I guess, until we reach a point of production and our productive output has gotten to a point where it's so streamlined and and so organized that there is no need for a state. But I don't know
Oh,
if
Jeebles.
we'll ever be able to get
He
there.
sword-whammed me.
Where the state withers away, and we have a classless, borderless, moneyless society.
You don't think you can have a classless society? Why are you trying to vote for communism then? Isn't that the point of communism? Is a classless society?
Worker exploitation is at the heart of socialism. And
He
communism.
keeps throwing me in
And
these
so I wanna ask you
corners.
this
What the
question.
heck? Get me out of
If an
here,
employee
tank
is fairly
treads! I hate
compensated,
you.
By fairly, I mean.
Oh
that
my gosh, I hate these tank treads
factors
sometimes.
Like work, compensation. You know, they're being paid well beyond the means of living. They can afford comfortable housing, food, pleasure, vacation, savings, all the things people would want to do with money. If they're provided in all those ways that we see as important, is that still exploitation?
In the Marxian sense, yes. In the capitalist sense, no. Capitalism is
And
seen.
so Mark, when you say Marxism, you're talking about socialism.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So, in the Marxist perspective, under Marxian economics, Marxist
Under
theory,
Marxian
exploitation is not a good or bad thing. It is
just is a
thing that
thing.
happens.
Okay.
And it goes back to something I've described many, many times over, which is that there are two classes.
Just two.
There is the labor class, the wage laborers, the proletariat, and the bourgeois class, the capital owning class, right?
Are there really
And these
only
two
two?
classes have two inherently contradictory interests.
Norm said it best. Let's see what Norm said.
Congratulations, that's the 100th time that joke's been done tonight. But I also want to tell you, I have a bet with Daniel Kellison, a rather large figure.
Daniel Kellison, who put this whole thing together,
Yeah.
way over his head.
He says you
did it.
He says you can explain what the fuck Jash is.
Jash?
Jash is
pay up, fucker.
Jash is a comedy collective, a United Artists, if you will. Uniting myself, Reggie Watts, Michael Cera, and Tim and Eric. And what do? We do whatever we dream up. We shoot it, and it goes on there. We can fail, we can do well. It's total freedom.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
I like how he emphasizes the gook in gobbledygook.
You got me, Norm.
I mean, I've never heard the word collective.
I know, but
Leon
Daniel
Trotsky.
puts.
Oh.
Classic.
You work jobs when you had a boss and someone was paying you, and you have been a boss, so you have gone through both of these stages. So, as someone who worked in a job,
Oh, look at
as a
that. He
wage
went
laborer,
through the
as a W-2 employee,
stages.
1099
Is
contractor,
doing
you want
better.
to work the least amount of hours for the most amount of pay. That's understandable. That's like perfectly reasonable, right? Like you want more money and you want to
How
work
is
less
that way
hours. You want to have
more?
more freedom. Your boss, on the other hand, wants you to work the most amount of hours for the least amount of pay, like
Yeah,
that they can get away
true.
with.
Yeah.
So this
Now
inherent
what?
contradiction is at the heart of capitalism and is how commodities are produced under a capitalist mode of production. Now, when you have this imbalance, those who do have capital end up always being able to pay you much less than your actual output.
So that
Yeah,
is
like
what's
how
happening
Silverman
now.
couldn't laugh
My
it off,
question
yeah.
is, in a situation, as I outlined, where the employees are fairly provided for.
Yeah,
which I
now let's
outlined
assume that we
before,
do it
is
well.
that when I say
Now why do
exploitation,
you
I
need
mean,
yours?
like, I think that also has a vernacular, like when the ruling class is committing some
so
kind
much
of harm
faster.
or injustice on their workers.
No, it's beyond that. You could be paying your employees fairly and still engage in the act of exploitation.
So then, because I don't want to get
Oh, I hate this. The Marxian perspective of exploitation. Everybody ready for the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life? You ready?
up on that, because you're saying exploitation is neutral by itself.
Yes, exploitation in the
Hey,
Marxian
Tim
sense
McGarrick
is
was
not good or bad,
hilarious.
It's just descriptive. A lot of what Marx has talked about with
But so
respect
what
to
does he mean
capitalism
then?
is descriptive.
So what does he mean then when he goes the exploitation of workers? Clearly, he wants to end the exploitation of workers.
Of course.
So is it still exploitation of workers if they're fairly provided for?
Yes,
It is.
because the fairness in this regard is not met on the metrics of like living standards, but instead on the metrics of what their output is. So when and this
What
gets
their
into the labor
output
theory of
is.
value,
Excuse me,
right?
goddamn.
The labor theory of value, which
This is the dumbest thing. They're like, oh, they're worth the revenue they bring to the job. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Because here's what none of these people understand is that all of that revenue that comes into a job does not just equal profit. You do not just get, like, if I make $5 more an hour with a business because I hired somebody, that person is not worth $5 an hour more because I will have other expenses that are linked to and have to do with that additional income. And they completely ignore that entire idea. Keep gouging. And they're just like, no, I helped make $5 extra an hour. They look at like how much the receipts are where they're, you know, wherever they work, and they're just like, oh yeah, well that means I'm worth this now. And it's like, no, that's what you bring to the business. What you're worth to the business is going to be much less than that at the end of the day. It's all value added. Someone washing dishes or cleaning doesn't add to revenue directly, but they add value through their work. Right. When Mike Laszlo was in charge of AS, he didn't think they were funny or good, but then Hyde came in, and Laszlo said MDE show is the new Tim and Eric. Proof Blaine has questionable takes.
Which is different than marginal utility, which is what we use currently when we ascribe, when we say this is this much, like something is this valuable, right? Ice cream is $4. But if it's really hot out, maybe ice cream is $5 because, well, there's a little bit of scarcity on the supply, but the demand has gone up. So now ice cream is more expensive. Whereas from a Marxian perspective, the value of that ice cream is
This is, I'm not really doing a lot of damage to his actual health with all these explosions.
What kind of labor went into the production of it? What were the resources used to make that ice cream? What kind of?
Can you imagine things being priced based only on the amount of work that went into making it? There are some things that, like, you can't quantify the amount of work that went into, like, prepping the whole system and making it happen at the end of the day. And they're just like, oh yeah, you just figure out how much it, you know, labor went into it, and then that's how much stuff is worth. It's like, that doesn't work. Stuff being worth what people are willing to pay for it works way easier in all of these value theory systems. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. I don't have enough boom booms. Ah. No. You notice the price of McDonald's goes up during traditional breakfast, lunch, and dinner times? Feels like 480p tonight. Yeah, I don't know. My internet has been real garbage this week.
Like what kind of capital was put into the ice cream factory,
So even
all
if
of
the
that,
employee
and then also the moving part in that situation would be the labor of it.
If the employee is extremely satisfied,
yeah,
and they feel well provided for, I mean, in a sense, it's like, who are you to tell him he's being exploited?
Yeah. Why are they exploited if they're happy?
You want to get caught up on that, definition of that word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's what I would say in that situation is this, right? Relying on the magnanimous nature of your boss and hoping that, like, your boss doesn't succumb to greed and choose to change certain things about your workplace conditions can be great. And there are people like yourself out there who are
literally hoping for your boss to be magnanimous or quitting is my system. That's my system of how the economy should function. Ethan is arguing that the government guarantee a boss be X amount magnanimous. He is not saying, oh, maybe he'll be some amount magnanimous. Ethan's position is that the government would say, boss, you must pay this much and only let them work this many hours, etc., etc., similar to what we have now, just in a, you know, a more controlled way. So the fact that someone who wants a more controlled system than we are currently discussing or currently have and still is saying, like, oh, not good enough, is just like, how much control do we need? And how centralized is this control? And what happens if you don't listen to this control?
as far as I understand, pretty good bosses, right? But that is never going to be that's never going to be the constant. That's never the case.
But in social democracy, you set up the bumpers, you set up systems where they have to do that.
Well,
that's the bare minimum they have to do.
See,
and then
literally
go back
saying
to
like
the
it works.
origin of the amenities.
I don't feel like that's a strong enough argument to say socialism is better.
No, as long as there is some kind of
Ow, that guy's a bitch.
capitalist
What are you doing in the
compensation
corner there?
any sort of sector, they will always choose to monopolize. This is what most companies like. This is what every company does when they become a company, a corporation. Their job is to their goal is to inevitably become a monopoly. You can do that by
That's not
renting
the goal.
You know, so what? If there's
This is the one that's like the most annoying. My goal with my food truck is not to become a monopoly. I don't like sit there going like, one day my food truck will be the only food truck. It's like owning businesses. You know how much of a pain in the ass it is and how much work it can be. So you're like, you know what? I want to do this to make a specific number of customers happy. And if I can find a way to scale that so I can make even more customers happy, then awesome. That's what I'm gonna focus on, and that's what I'm gonna do. But this idea that they're just like, I will monopolize the sector is like, that's not how this works. Who's Hyde? You only know the singer. Hassan doesn't know small business. Yeah, he only went from TYT to largest streamer on Twitch. He has no idea what any of the people that actually like make and do stuff on the day-to-day in our world have to do or deal with or any of that.
Rules.
Well, no, when you are becoming a monopoly.
Yeah.
One of the goals for corporations is to maximize profits because they're required by law. They are not required by law to maximize profits. What they are required is a fiduciary duty to the shareholder. So if you have a corporation, let's say you start an LLC and you're like, I'm going to make this LLC and I'm going to then sell soap. And as you're selling soap, and it's getting more and more soap, and you need to hire somebody. Hiring somebody to help you sell soap is going to reduce your profits. And it should make you have more free time to look into more types of soap, other ways you can make soap, other soap-related things maybe you want to expand the business into to free you up in order to be able to pursue those other things. You're going to be minimizing your profits, but it's in the best interest of the shareholder. It's a fiduciary duty that you hold as a corporation. It gets much more confusing when you have a publicly shared company, because then you do have people whose only fiduciary responsibility is monetary. So people who own shares in your stock expect you to do what will make that share go up. Now, because the stock market is volatile, we've seen cases where companies do things and shareholders try to sue to say, hey, you ruined our stock price, and it doesn't usually work out. You usually can't sue because they did something that ended up making the business less money. Mostly because people don't say, I'm going to do this thing to make less money for people. Most people are doing things because they think it's better for the company in the long run. So because they think it's better for the company, they think eventually it'll lead to more value. And even if it doesn't, you don't really have a real basis, strong basis for a suit in that case. Wealth, fame, power, blame the food truck king and acquired everything the world has to offer. If I want my food truck, you'll have to find it. Ginger D. Blaine.
Yeah.
You are either engaging in horizontal integration and expansion or vertical integration and expansion, mergers, acquisitions.
Yes, because mergers and acquisitions is just what
in e-commerce.
I mean, I guess acquisitions is kind of like the base level of business, like buying a small business in your town.
You end up using
it's pretty easy to get
into.
So I guess acquisitions
in the form of profits from your workers to lobby the government and erode the safety nets.
Yeah, but you're talking like it's a guaranteed, and again, I go back.
It's been a guarantee every single time.
And it's been a guarantee by the same metric that any socialist country devolves into disaster. I mean, it's not fair to put that out there like it's just given. Because on the other flip coin, you can say, this, like I mentioned, socialism. There's going to be people moving towards capitalism.
So socialist nations,
it's too hypothetical.
Socialist nation states, however, historically, most of them at least, have
the
not
only way you
eroded
successfully
or
sue
been
is if they intentionally tank the price
to,
after
like,
they cash out or something like
I
a
want
long
to be
place for a
capitalist.
lot of
Usually
that.
those
Yeah.
people are
Usually,
being,
if you're on the board, you can't. You got to file so much.
By a much more powerful nation.
You have to file with the SEC, and everybody knows. Oh, this person on the board dumped a bunch of cash. I'll probably dump cash too. Like it's never a secret. secret when you're in those positions. Unless you're Paramount and Disney. They still have grounds to argue that what they're doing is better to gain the newer audience, and that the problems they're having is because of the boomer audience that they're trying to shed so that they can acquire this newer, bigger audience that's coming up. That would be your steelman argument for Paramount and Disney. One truck is better than the OP live action. The world government knows how powerful he truly is. We can't give him another business. He has too many already.
Is using the inherent greed to their advantage to cause divisions. But the real material issues in socialist nation states, historical socialism, real socialism in the real world that has happened, has always been due to mishaps, famine, or
the problem with real socialism has been mishaps. Would you like to tell the millions of dead people and their surviving family members that it was just a mishap? They thought they were doing what was best for farming, but it just didn't. It was an oopsie doopsie. That's all. The goatee fruit. No, I ate the colorblind fruit. Tens of millions get it right. Is there a... How many people have been killed by communism? Ranging from a low of 10 to 20 million and as high as 110 million. Oof. That's the Black Book of Communism Wikipedia page, if anyone's curious. I think tens of millions might even be too small a number.
Or the government exercising too much authoritarian control.
You could say the same
these
thing.
These sorts of things are the real reasons as to why social nation states have failed, not necessarily their economic mode of production switching over to a more labor-focused economy. And then also, there are so many different types of socialist developments, like a socialist mode of production, that there is no one absolute perfect one, and I'd be a liar if I told you I know which one it is. You know what I mean?
So go back to the original question.
Oh, dang it.
Let's just ignore this theory that in social democracy, and I'll say this, obviously we have antitrust laws that are not good.
Just gotta get better at killing that one guy.
Yeah,
That's
I would
also
ask you
something
why.
you can regulate.
Pretty sure our
I would ask you
antitrust
why.
laws
because
suck,
our
but we
government is super
disagree.
corrupt.
We disagree as
Why
to
is
why
the
they
government
suck,
corrupt?
Ethan.
Because people are inherently flawed.
You think the government's corrupt because people are inherently flawed?
Yes.
Corruption in that sense, I disagree with you there.
Some people, not all people.
No.
That's another thing I said.
I
People
know.
are inherently greedy, and people lost their mind. Some people are. Actually, I want to talk about that at better length, but go ahead.
That's actually a great take.
Greed's
as well. We can
super
go over that.
inherent.
Yeah, I
always
Like,
think
talk
it's
to a
cool, but I forget
child.
who it was. It might have been Mark Fisher, might have been someone else. But
I mean, I guess I don't want
assuming that
Hassan
greed is
near any
inherent in human
children,
nature
so
under a
maybe
capitalist
it's
organization of the economy
better if he
is
doesn't
like
learn
assuming the black lung is inherent
I'm not
in human
saying
nature
capitalism.
if you work at the fucking coal mine.
See, that's not a good analogy.
Because no, you're
In my
right.
opinion.
Greed is a part of it. Self-interest is a part of it. Not greed necessarily, but self-interest is a part of human existence. Why we have built societies and how we've done it. However,
It's a biological survival
exactly.
mechanism.
However,
If we didn't have self-interest, we wouldn't survive as a species.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
You're
True.
absolutely correct. My argument always, and many Marxist arguments,
Blame
actually, have
society.
always been
Society
around
make greedy.
individualism and self-interest, and how socialism, as a matter of fact, creates more opportunities for individual liberties for the person. It's only been
Does
sold and told to people as though it is, this gray, brutalist architecture, city blocks. You have to, do your
I mean, that's
government
usually
mandated
what it
coal
looks
mining
like.
job or whatever the fuck. But the ultimate goal has always been to open up more individual liberties. I'll give you an example of socialization that you and I both agree with, right? Healthcare. Nationalized healthcare or socialized medicine in general.
I mean,
gives you
I don't
more
agree, but they can
liberties
agree
as a
together.
person that
They
you
can
can
be all
actually
cute
leave your job.
together,
if you
that
fucking
would
hate
happen
it.
in social democracy as well.
Yes. However, like I've said, there has to be the countermeasures in a social democracy the capitalist forces are significantly
Stop
more
it.
powerful because ultimately the state is still operating as a capitalist state. That is still the norm.
Finally got
So
rid
I
of the
think we're
tank
having,
treads.
like,
Yeah,
a
they're gone for now.
Kind of
I
just
need
like a
to
disconnect-
I
or
need to
not
get a
disconnect,
new
but maybe an
cosplay
impasse on
build.
that idea. But what I'll say, I want to give you a specific example because this is interesting to me. Let's just take this workplace.
This guy moves
as
a
an
lot.
example because we're all familiar with
This
it.
gunboat's not really
So,
working for him.
I started my career 10 plus years ago, and I was successful by myself with 0 employees.
True.
Yes. I made a lot of money. I did well for myself. And then, 5 years ago into my career, I made the podcast, which obviously you all are watching now. So let's say
Yes,
we go back
okay,
to
you
5
built
years
a
ago,
thing.
when I hired
When-
Dan as a freelance.
When does it have to be communism?
Yeah, or a freelancer. Yeah.
And obviously you moved to full time, and I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So he started as like a freelance consultant. So what would be a fair way of compensating him for that?
In your situation,
dang it,
it's like what is the most like socialist way of doing it? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, because that's what we're talking about, right?
It would be profit
I need
sharing.
better-
what
so
that
I
means
better
is-
hand weapons.
This is interesting.
So
Hold on.
This is interesting. You're right. 'Cause
Yeah.
This is actually the most difficult aspect, in
Like
my
Colgate
opinion,
missile launcher?
of like trying to create the most ethical way of existing under a capitalist organization of the economy, while you are also productive, and you're doing like an owned and operated.
90% of the issues
where
of
you are
socialism
top.
only
I
appear when you
hired
scale it
Dan
up as a
consultant.
town,
Yeah.
even
Just
in
to
this
help us
perfect
out to
world.
get
But in
things,
reality, the
And
town
I have
wouldn't
hired
work.
people as
Yeah,
well.
because the town has to interact with capitalists.
How much profit am I sharing with?
So the way I do it, and I think this is
Not
this
the
will
way
be,
you. Here's the thing. He's about to say the way I do it, and then explain ways in which you aren't hiring somebody else to help you do a thing.
I mean, this is instructive for many others as well. The way I do it, like the most ethical way to do it, is basically try to make an assessment. Sure, there's market considerations on the one hand, like what the normal wage would look like, but that is like the minimum.
round.
You know what I mean? That is like the minimum. That is the worst possible amount to pay someone in the form of wages, in my opinion.
Okay.
So you have the market considerations on the one side,
Plasma
which I
thrower.
don't necessarily care too much about. On the other side, you have your productive output, right? Let's say you
Pulse
were
blade.
making $10 before Dan came on, and now that Dan came on, you're making.
That wouldn't be measurable metric.
No, I know. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I know.
So you have to pay him what he'll bring without knowing how much he'll bring. That's not a measurable metric. I know! Then what are we talking about? I'll just go back to this one, I think.
Which is why I'm saying it's a tricky situation.
Before we were using Monday.com, our team was drowning.
Monday.com. Sign up
Our
today.
days are split between work.
It's almost impossible. for
Yeah.
me.
Well, technically, the other side is also so very cruel, but we just like have
But that's not true,
normalized.
because in social democracy, people are fairly compensated. It's not cruel, in my opinion.
It's true.
No, there's. I don't think. I think we
People
think
could be
of social
more or
democracy,
more
we think of social
fairly,
democracy-
less fairly compensated, but like generally speaking, they'd be more fairly compensated than what we would see today.
Yes, in comparison to the United States of America, which technically would be a mixed market or social democracy.
Oh, mixed
social democracies in
market.
other
It's not a
countries, there's
social
better compensation.
democracy.
So
It's
here's
a
the unintended
mixed
consequence of that.
Due to
economy.
regulation, government regulation.
If I'm just hiring Dan to come in and help me with cameras and stuff, and I have to cut him in on profit share, people are not going to hire as many people. They're gonna take
True.
a lot more.
You're gonna have a lot
before they
of
bring more
unemployed people
Can I
under
chime in real quick?
communism.
Just to clarify this point, are you still talking about the period of time where I was
Yes.
working as a contractor?
Yes. I haven't got to the full time yet. We're going to move to that.
Right. I will just say that at the time, I was essentially operating as my own business as well, because you weren't my only client at the time.
Right. Okay.
I did that professionally for a lot of people, and you were one of many people that I would come and do shows with until you offered me a full-time thing. So just because we're using the specific example, I just wanted to clarify that, because I think that matters in what the dynamic was.
Does
when we
it?
were initially working together.
I don't think that matters in such that I'm more focused just on the profit
So
sharing.
the reason why I was bringing
and
up
like the implications on to a business and
There,
business. owner of that.
no, Ethan, stick with it. Okay, how would freelance work under communism? Dan seems pretty worthless. You should be paying Ethan. It's true. That you should share profits. Oh, well then we're also going to share losses. If I hire you in that first year when my business is still down because we took on some loans in order to be able to last long enough, you're going to have to help pay for those loans, all right? That's the co-op model.
Okay, but the reason why I was bringing up the revenue is because let's say you were making you're making $10. Dan comes on, now you're making $15.
Yeah,
right?
There it is. That's where I got
Dan has
those
brought
numbers.
in $5 extra of revenue for you, and I think that the best possible way to engage with that would be to cut Dan in on like offer Dan living wages plus whatever.
Give
whatever
Dan
has
more
brought in in the form of
money!
revenue.
Here's a big problem.
And that moves in a direction like you make, and then later down the line you make $100,000, and
It
And
moves with
now,
yeah.
Dan is moving with it as well.
Here's where this seems more like it's a nice theory, but like in application, it makes no sense. Who decides how much value he's brought? How could you possibly decide that? If my show is growing, Dan joins, and let's say, yeah, now I'm making $15, but the show was organically growing. How can I attribute all 5 of that to Dan?
You're absolutely correct on this as well. This is a big weakness.
50-50 with him?
This is something.
This is a
that I
big
do not have an
weakness.
answer
He
for
said
either,
it.
Which is why,
It doesn't
like
make
I
sense.
said, which is why, like I said, you make do with you try to do your very best.
Can I be? This seems like a big problem to say you don't have a solution for if you're advocating for a socialist
Yeah,
society.
you don't know how to
agree, which is
hire
why I'm
somebody.
You seem like it's ready.
Well, can I just chime in on this? This isn't theoretical. There are lots of companies that do profit sharing.
I do this as well.
I know, but it's not like. But like, let's say this.
Yes,
Like,
because
and they
profit
have various
sharing with
methods
our
of how they do it.
businesses
The way
nowadays is
there
the
are ways to
same
do it that
as
make sense.
communist
I do,
But the way that
profit
socialism
sharing.
does it in the purest sense is like Dan joined 10 to 15. Dan gets half of the 15.
So
that's his
Even
labor.
this is if we're talking pure
Hold on,
theory.
what's that?
If we're talking
No,
if we're
Dan
talking
would
pure
get the
theory,
5.
I
Like,
would
at least say
rather
it correctly.
have
They
an
do think
imperfect
Dan only
structure
gets the 5, but
that
he
still
increases you by.
absolutely
But
offers
Perfect. It
better.
doesn't work.
Well,
If you don't know
the
how people
capitalist-
get paid, how does it even work?
The capitalist
You don't know
structure
how
also
people
is
get
imperfect in
paid.
the exact same
You
way.
You can't even pay people
Yes, I know,
under
but
communism.
The idea that like the other structure would not function is not correct. Especially when we're telling you that even under a capitalist organization and economy, there's plenty of different ways of doing
But
this.
there needs to
one
be-
of the most successful ones that I also have is a cooperative, right?
You also
I
have you have a co-op?
Collectively organized podcast, for example, where
Oh,
we just split it 5
his
ways.
co-op's a podcast, everybody. That's the same. That's the same. Co-op podcast, you know, that's a co-op model. That's just like your local farmers market co-op, but it's his podcast because the people at the podcast share stuff, and that makes it, you know, cooperative at the end of the day. Stupid piece of dumbass. We have a co-op here in Washington. It's REI. REI co-op. I've brought this up before. The way that it functions as a co-op is that you can buy into it as a membership and get a discount on everything that you shop from there. And your membership dues go to helping them gain capital. They also sell outdoor equipment. So North Face jackets, Patagonia stuff, camping tents, surfboards, snowboards, all kinds of outdoor fun time equipment, which guess what? It's all made by capitalist businesses. Not everything they sell is made by a co-op. So the co-op survives because of capitalism. And if you work there, you get just a dividend, basically. Like, you get a little voting right the same way that any other stockholder would. So when you join in, you get into the stock to be able to vote. But you don't get all the stock. It just doesn't... it works, but it only works because we're in a capitalist system. It's the only time co-ops work. And right now his chat is saying, talk about co-ops. Co-ops are a thing, Ethan. What is a co-op? Co-ops only work under capitalism.
Is regardless. Obviously, my output in that situation, given that I am the host with the largest audience, would significantly outweigh my producers, for example, who could be paid with a very fair, very fat market wage, right? Market wage plus market wage times 3 is what I could pay him, and it would still be significantly less than what he gets paid now.
Yeah.
Because we're cutting him in 5 ways. We're splitting everything 5 ways.
Yeah.
And that is a perfectly viable way to do it because
I think that's very generous, but I don't think you should be forced to do that.
I think that
That's
I think
very generous of you, but don't force
what we
people.
determine as
I like
a minimum
that.
wage where he can live where he lives in a comfortable state.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
And I don't think
And
that
it's
it
not-
prevents
it goes
people
beyond,
from
it
being
goes beyond wages too.
generous.
It goes
either.
beyond wages as well. There's also another aspect of this that many people fail to consider, which is decision making. So,
do people?
There's also the structure of decision making, the structure of autonomy. When
People
we are
fail to
setting up the
understand
time
decision
for when we are
making?
going to shoot the podcast, like everyone has
you
to be on
fail to
board with it.
understand
It has to
decision
work
making.
around every single person's
Hassan.
schedule. These are all scheduling conflicts exist usually.
If your co-op isn't a farm, then you're screwed. Oh, so true. The farmers market co-op is the only one that
But
works
it's like,
on
in
its own.
good faith, every single person is like giving their most, giving their all, and it ultimately, I think, creates a pretty solid product.
Let me ask you. So do you acknowledge that in this socialist theoretical country where I go from 10 to 15 and I give Dan 15, hypothetically for any worker joining, that as a business owner, I would be less likely to be hiring people.
Certainly.
And that's not good.
Yeah, you wouldn't hire people if that was the thing.
Because like, I don't know, because like I've gone through a lot of people that did not work out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were hired on like let's say
a contingent basis.
Fire them.
Exploratory. So is it at will
How do you
employment in
fire
this situation?
somebody?
In this structure, you can still, of course, like you can still have issues with.
I love how he
employee and
explains
fire
how
them.
you would still be
it's
able to
ironic 'cause,
fire
like, Japan,
people
for example,
later
is
on.
the most capitalist country on the planet, and yet in Japan they have this like very unique culture where getting into a place of business is very difficult. But once you actually have made it into the corporation, they don't fire you. They can't fire you. They never
Yeah,
fire
they
you.
can.
What they do is they ostracize you and make you into a social pariah within the company.
Oh, this is
and,
so.
and try to get you to quit.
Where's Angry Canadian Megalo? Tell me about
No,
how
it's like,
Japanese
cultural, and
businesses
if I'm
can't
not
fire
mistaken, it
you.
could literally have legal implications as well. But it works, right?
Okay.
It technically works.
But I'm saying, why is it? Why is it not a good? So as a business owner, I think the fact that I was not super hesitant to hire lots of people, find the crew that worked. I worked with a lot of people who were not compatible. So I was able to burn through enough people to find a team that worked, right? And so if I was so hesitant to hire people because I have to profit share with them, I would do like a way more strenuous interview process. It would take way longer.
Yeah, you're making an argument for why it's stronger. Like you
I don't
lucked out
think
with
so
Dan.
at all.
You lucked out with Dan.
I don't think that's a good
thanks.
argument because first of all, it's good that people can go try a bunch of jobs before they find one that works. And as an employer, it's good to be able to try a bunch of people to find the right fit for employees. If I had to go through the strenuous process to find each one of them, this podcast may very well likely not exist as it does today. It might not exist at all.
I disagree with you on that for sure. I think that it's
Yeah,
better to have
exactly.
a
Explain how I would do
strenuous
this.
process of ensuring that you
Even
have
for
the
like
best possible
even
person.
for like the most entry level job.
Yeah, I think that it's.
But then
perfectly valid.
doesn't that result in people not
How do
getting work?
janitors get
Yes,
hired?
It will. But then we're talking about like an entirely separate way of organizing the economy.
Let me go back. Why is it better? Why is it better that I have to go through like extraneous
we're
full-on
talking about
HR
hypotheticals.
processes?
We're talking about hypotheticals in this situation.
Yeah,
So
it's a
we can
hypothetical.
just
Engage with it.
hypothesize that you found Dan. Not even hypothesize.
No, we're not talking. Well, we're talking hypothetically, but we're
Wait,
talking.
is there somebody else shooting me?
We went through a lot of people before we found Dan.
Yeah. Well, you could have arrived at Dan as well.
Such bullshit. Thank you, Megalo. I knew I
I
wasn't too crazy there.
So there was a point where the podcast almost got wrapped up.
Yeah.
So why is it better in
Anime
theory
says otherwise.
to have that extraneous of a hiring
You're
process
fired. Get
than
outta
being able to
here.
kind of just people try things out?
This is only one aspect of it, but
Oh,
what
just
you're
the
talking
one
about, like the
aspect, though.
extraneous hiring process, also would exist under a social democracy as well. It should exist in some form under a social democracy as well, like some level of protection from being fired.
But so in social democracy, you're not rev sharing. So there's like this big thing that you're like, I'm a business owner. I've created this business.
Well, you don't
from my
have
own
to
sweat
rev
and
share.
blood
You
and
can
tears for the
rev
last 10
share,
years,
though.
And I'm making a lot of money. I got to hire this guy who I don't know anything about, and I got to cut him in on my profits. That doesn't exist in social democracy. So the risk to me as the business owner is way
It does exist, but
less.
it's much smaller, to a much
Way
smaller
less.
degree, because it's supposed to exist through unions. And once again, it's not just revenue sharing.
not, but it's a
Everyone
big
always,
difference, though.
everyone always
So
focuses on that
everything has a
aspect of it,
union?
but
This
rev sharing
two-man,
comes in the
like,
form of
podcast
benefits.
that
Rev
he was
sharing
about
comes in
to
the
hire
form of,
Dan
like,
on would
how
have to
much
have
we
a
invest in
union?
R&D, for example, or what kind of R&D initiatives we invest in. All of these decisions are
Japan, once you're
made
fired,
by
they'll
a
remove
board.
your
It's
that's all
a
regulated.
fiduciary
That can be
responsibility
regulated
to the
in social democracy.
shareholders that is not regulated under social democracy. This is the major
What
point
do you
of
mean by rev
contention.
share then? Because you in our example,
Like in Germany, they have a trade union representative that sits on the board of executives, but that's only one aspect of a larger board that is still representing the interests of the shareholders, those who own the company, who never have seen the company. They can even globally own it, right? So having one vote in that situation is not as good, in my opinion, as having all of the vote, all of the power, making these decisions.
But
as a
who
collective,
has all the
something
power?
That kind of is not legally enforced here, right, in your structure, but you abide by because you're a nice guy.
Do you
Many people
have
are not
all
going to
the
be like
power?
that. And I'm saying that we shouldn't rely on the magnanimous
we don't have
nature
to.
of all.
We're going back to this point because we don't have to with the right.
Well,
rules
even
and
an
regs.
example
But let me
like
ask you,
the one I
'cause we
mentioned
got
in
off
Germany
point.
still yields.
God, would
terrible
you
like,
stop
still
shooting me,
is
you
susceptible to
assholes?
social
He's the
democracy.
same enemy.
Let me ask you this.
Wait, yes, it is.
Germany arguably is.
Yes,
not
every,
as much as.
Okay, I don't know a lot about
Ethan,
Germany, so I'm not gonna. I don't want to get
America
into
is
that.
a social democracy as well. The problem is, like, American social democracy is a laughable example of.
So let's
social
not use it then.
democracy.
But going back, why is it better? Because I don't think I ever got an answer. To have a strenuous hiring process.
Why is it better to have a trade union? When you engage in commodity production with another person, I think it's perfectly valid to ensure that this person is not going to be like a scumbag and cheat you, fuck you over. I think it's good business practice, even in a capitalist sense, to ensure that the person that you're hiring is not like some fucking random dickhead.
That's just common sense.
And the more you grow,
do acknowledge so you do acknowledge the hesitancy to hire people.
I do. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad
I don't know what. Okay, we'll move
I
on,
don't think it's a bad.
I guess a bit of an impasse again.
Because and as companies grow, you
We're
have
at an
different
impasse
people in
again, yeah.
different units that also are engaging in hiring. Like, it's just that workers now have more of a say in which direction the company should go, and that's a good thing.
This
It's not a
dude
bad
worked for me for like a week, and on my business I spent 5 years building. I don't want to give him a decision on where the company goes.
I think that.
Why should he have that right?
Well,
You know
no,
what I mean?
Yeah, why should he?
I'm not saying the janitor comes in and unilaterally makes decisions. That's not how that works.
But I'm curious how it does work.
So, it's communication.
Yeah,
the other
this
person
is
is a human being as well. If you have a major disagreement,
Oh, it's
then you look for
communication.
someone else to
He's
work in
human.
that position. This is how it works.
Okay.
The
I'm
only
not getting
difference in
a
that
clear answer on the
situation is that you don't
red
have
fairy
you don't have the fear of like subsistence living at the other end of that bargain. Whereas like you have better amenities, better protections, and
But by
therefore you're
red
more
fairy, you just mean
comfortable.
good living conditions, because
The idea is
that's what I'm
that
already saying. That I don't think that makes socialism unique, because we can provide good living conditions and
we
benefits.
can, but we haven't. Now that, by the way, one aspect
again,
of social democracy that we've talked about is the domestic one. We have yet to even uncover the other, much worse side of social democracy.
What? No, let's get through this. Let's get through how socialism hires a person. You haven't even explained how you can bring somebody in and compensate them under the socialist system. You have no idea at this point what Hassan thinks about how to, like, just pay somebody. The thing that, like, any economic system should be able to answer in 2 seconds. How money make. How I get money. It should just be a, oh, yeah, here you go. Here's your money. Oh, that shoots high. That's not going to be good. This will be a fun one.
Democracies, which is resource extraction in the third world and imperialism.
Ah, yes. Resource
and that
extraction
is
in
a
the third
necessity under
world.
global capitalism, and that is the reason why we have the haves and the have-nots. On the domestic level, you believe that there is a regulatory agency.
It's the haves and
that can
have-less.
make things more just.
I don't feel prepared to have a
ensure
conversation about the third world stuff because I'm not super familiar with it.
perfectly fine.
But like I can.
But,
I mean, I
but
can
you
give my
understand that
opinion
like
about
that's.
stuff.
You probably
part
could,
of how
Ethan.
everything
Don't
works.
back out. I
So
think you
exploiting in
can
the
be
truest
fine.
sense of the word is definitely what's been happening
even
too.
on a capitalist understanding, that's like hyper
I mean,
exploitation.
clearly, I think that all humans on this earth deserve rights and comfort and a right.
You
know
want
what I mean?
money?
It is funny,
Gamble.
like, one thing I will mention in the domestic, going back to the labor force thing, is that like we're so susceptible and so programmed under capitalist dogma.
Oh,
that we refuse to
capitalist
see a world
dogma
outside, and
is-
we're so captured in that.
Oh, you
in
broke
that
away from the
worldview
capitalist
that,
dogma. You ideology, business owning, shirt selling bullshitter.
Oftentimes the number one counter against a socialist governance or democracy in the workplace or anything like that is always like, what do you want, the fucking janitor just came in yesterday to make these decisions? Like, no one said he's the CEO
I just
now.
want to understand how it works because you keep saying rev share.
Rev share is only one component
the
of it.
janitor
Rev share
no,
can
let
be
me tell you this.
democratically assigned.
If the say what?
Okay, here's an example. When I first started the podcast,
All right, here we go. Example. His podcast.
Now washes hard floors, continuously using clean water from start to finish. One machine for your whole home, exclusively with HEPA filtration, only at Dyson.
Am I crazy? To go through IVF while starting an Oscar campaign?
Together, we're gonna get you the life
Come on.
of your dreams.
I can't explain it.
Yes.
They're trying to keep me from having a baby. Feels almost sadistic.
Right here, buddy. We're right here. We're going face to face.
FX's American Horror Story Delicate.
That was fun.
Wednesdays.
Love me
I was
some
originally
horror.
undercast. It was fucking terrible. We quit. We started our own podcast, me and Will.
Okay,
We needed a
new
producer because
podcast,
we
him
don't
and
have
Will.
that skill set. We needed someone to change the cameras and maybe do a little bit of, someone to post the videos, do the captions, titling, thumbnailing, right? So in that situation, we looked for someone, we found someone, and we were splitting it
Okay.
3 ways. We were splitting the revenue 3 ways.
So
Anything that we
you,
made, right?
you brought in somebody who you could not do the podcast without. So it was you, a host, and a producer. And instead of paying that producer a producer wage, you gave him a percentage. So now he's part owner. Cool. Okay. Producer, pretty important, I would say, to a podcast in this society.
And even before that, I was also giving March money as well to make sure that he like at least had a fucking, you know, had revenue opportunity
Jeebles, I
even when
can't.
we weren't generating a lot of revenue.
Okay.
Right. So, what did I do after that? The podcast grew. Beer and now has 5 cast members. We
Oh
brought
my
in
gosh.
Austin Show, my good friend, and Cutie Cinderella.
Cutie
And when
Cinderella,
that
no!
happened, us 3, we got together and we had a conversation.
Okay.
Do we need more hosts? Do we think that this will be beneficial?
Right.
Right? Do we think that we will end up making...
So the 3 of you got together and said, oh, maybe we should bring other people in to also be hosts? That's like literal, the top of the barrel owners. Talk to me about bringing in somebody whose job it is to just run wires and gaff tape and then leave. What are you going to do for them? Imagine saying you have a co-op because a major part of your project got a revenue share instead of a salary. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, me and 3 people started this business together and we split it 3 ways. Not a co-op. It's an LLC, if anything.
You know, more revenue, generating more revenue in the long run.
Right.
Will we have people with unique
Oh, did I pause it?
creative ideas? Like, I
Nope.
care more about the creative output than anything else, than revenue. I haven't even.
I haven't
touched upon
taken the
in the
revenue.
podcast.
I'm not a revenue guy.
And we got together and we had a conversation, and I think that
Dang
that
it.
is a significantly more equitable and just and better way of doing business than me hiring Mark.
But what if you just paid Mark the same amount? Why am I buffering?
Me giving Will some money originally, like a fat salary, or maybe cutting in on
Hold
the
on.
rev share for him, and then giving March like a super high fucking wage, right? Like, way higher than like the average producer, and then making these decisions single-handedly.
Let me add another aspect to your example.
Where is co-op in
Let's
the
say you need
tax
to hire a
code?
cleaner,
Good
a clean
question.
She works for the
Hello.
podcast.
Welcome, Stranos.
I mean, he didn't ask the producer to bring on somebody else for their co-op, though.
No, he it was just the 3 of them.
Yeah,
no,
he only
the
has
3 of
to-
them is the producer.
No, he did. No, he talked with the other people. He could talk to like Hugh Cinderella and the couple people he had as hosts, and he talked about hiring another host. I don't think he included the producer.
No, I think he said he talked him, the other host, and the producer about bringing on more people. Like
I
Cutie
thought that
Cinderella
was
and everything.
after. Yeah, I thought
Now
that was
after that, maybe he was just the host that got together and talked about it. But finally, Ethan's gonna be like, "What if you hire somebody to clean? How do they work?" And this is the best answer I think he gives this entire thing. Pyramid co-op scheme.
Yeah, what I said earlier is the co-optional podcast already happened. You know, it's not going anymore though.
No more co-optionals.
Yeah, because Toll Biscuit died.
Oh, so sad.
She cleans the office. She works full time. How
Yeah.
do you pay her?
The cleaner side
oh.
of this is not like, I mean, I don't have an office like that, but the janitorial services
theoretically.
in a theoretical situation where we have someone
Full-time cleaner.
that needs to do it, yeah, we would also get together as a unit. Okay. The
I love how
existing-
he's like trying to figure out like, oh my god, how would I hire a cleaner? Like I don't want to rev share with a cleaner. They're just cleaning the place. So as a unit, as a group of capital owners who would get together and decide on the like he's like has no idea how he would pay a cleaner, and then
He's
comes
working
up with,
through all this right now.
yeah, he'd come up with this bullshit.
company would get together and decide what level, just like hiring the 2 other hosts, we decide what level of revenue cuts we are going to take from our 5% to give
So you're making
to
her a
the other
job offer.
person.
It's not really that different than a salary.
And
You're making him a job offer. Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, we are all making money. Here's all the revenue we're making. If we want to grow, we have to have this place be clean. So we have to cut into our revenue in order to pay somebody. So they're like, we have to get together and decide on like how much revenue we're going to lower it by. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. That's how businesses decide to hire people. They lower their revenue to increase the hands.
I don't know. I don't think that sounds right. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to cut them a part of our business, and that's how they get paid. We cut them a share of the business's profit.
I mean, you can do that. A lot of startups do that, right? Like the startup will be like, hey, here's your wage. But in order to like keep you, because other bigger companies are going to offer you more, here is stock because our company will hopefully go public and sell later so that our company will be worth more in the future. And so you get a bunch of stock that will grow with time. So you get, invested in the company and you want to make the company grow so that when it has its buyout, you can finally like cash in on that. That's very common. So like you could do that with a janitor if you're like, hey, you're like the best janitor we have. Here's a
So you mean
cut
it
in.
works on a small scale until you scale it up to somebody that doesn't do equal labor share?
You can't do it equal. That would be insane.
Yeah, like how could I pay a laborer that just like cleans my toilets an
But-
equal share?
Literally later on, Hassan is going to be, people who contribute more to the business will make more money. And it's like, how is that
Really?
different than capitalism?
Because that's not communism, Hassan.
Like, the only problem that I have with the current model is that we equate working more for the company with more hours, which works for a lot of businesses, but I feel like a lot of things should be in like a job or a task-based system where it's like, here's what I need you to do, and every time you do this, you get paid, but that's a lot harder
That's the way
to
plenty
manage.
of salaried positions could be. It's because it's on a needs basis for their skill. Yeah.
But that's coming from like the small business owner. It's like, your plumber, right? He's going to make $400 when you pay him to swap out a toilet. That's his. And if he does it quickly, he'll make $400 an hour. He does it slowly, he'll make $50 an hour. You never know. So it's up to them to make more hourly, but that's just my brain works better that way. Who decides who contributes more? The people you hire? Always.
And once they get that job, and there are many different ways of doing this, but once they get that job, and let's say they work for 2 years, 3 years, then they have a say in the revenue sharing structure and the power sharing structure as well. Because it doesn't have to happen like instantaneously. A lot of people forget that.
Well, my problem is that in the socialist economy, this is being regulated by the government. People can get together now and decide to do whatever the fuck they want in their company.
Yeah, people can do whatever they want.
You know, but in the socialistic economy, there's a rule that says you need to pay her.
Oh, dang it, I missed that.
What you're saying is not true.
Okay.
What do you mean it's
You wanna
not
know why?
true?
Yes.
Because you want a social democracy, which kind of exists, and market regulation exists under capitalist formations, and plenty of capital owners hate that. As a matter of fact, I would say universally
What?
capital owners
What does that
hate
have to
any
do
kind
with
of
it,
market
though?
regulation, which is why they choose to
They
erode
don't
it as best
like
as they possibly
it.
can, or they use it to their advantage to create an artificial barrier of entry into certain sectors.
I'm saying in a socialist economy, there's going to be laws.
So
there
regulation
are
regulation
laws in a
creates an
capitalist
artificial
economy.
barrier?
Socialism, how I'm saying the government is telling you how much you need to pay the janitor.
That's not how that would work.
Then how would it work?
But
Because
it would be.
Then
would be
how
isn't
would
that-
it
how-
work?
how is that
Exactly.
functionally
Good
different than minimum wage
question.
in our
that's my
society?
point. That's my point.
Yeah.
Why do they?
So
why
I
do?
think
But socialism is much more radical. We're talking.
not.
Social.
It doesn't have to be.
Moving
I think
America-
It doesn't
moving
have to be
America
more
to a
radical. It just
purely
is more
socialistic
radical.
Society. Instead of my thing, is, I think social
Why am I
democracy is better than
saying
socialism.
so radical
And you
right
guys
now?
are explaining something that to me sounds a lot like something that we can already do without this huge undertaking of changing our economy from a capitalistic social democracy one to a socialism one. You're talking about a minimum wage. We already do that, and we can already do better with that via regulations.
But,
so why
the reason why we haven't been able to is because, like, I think the best way to explain it is this way. Okay,
Oh,
you like
explain it.
capitalism with socialist characteristics. I like socialism with capitalist characteristics.
Yo, you just said that. So, we're both.
I love it. He's like, I like socialism with capitalism.
So
Ethan's just like,
no.
you said it.
So no, he
You
doesn't.
said the thing.
Except
no,
he
of course he
does.
doesn't. Of course he doesn't.
Well, he wants capitalism for him so he can acquire wealth so he can be wealthy. He wants socialism for everybody else.
Oh yeah, you're right. He do want that. It do be like that. Higher capacity, I think, is gonna help me out a lot. Ugh, why am I so frustrated at this right now? Maybe I should just do the grenade launcher instead of the dizzy. It's just got more rounds, weighs less. Now I'll stick with the dizzy, I guess. No, we'll go detonating bazooka.
Detonating bazooka's the small AoE, like basically no AoE grenade launcher.
Yeah. But it also has like a crazy hit. We'll try this.
Both social
So
democrats.
that doesn't mean that
What's the
I
difference?
still believe that the government
Wait, what's
should
the
be.
difference now? You
the
said you like
difference-
socialism
The
with
difference
capitalism.
is, no, I said I like socialism with capitalist characteristics, meaning that the governing the governing economy
apparatus. Okay.
of the entire economy still revolves around a socialist mode of production, where
Which
the
is?
owners, the workers are the owners. They
The
own means of
workers are the
production.
owners.
They have they have a say in their benefits. They have a say in
And I
what
can
happens
fire
in
them
the
whenever I
company.
Yeah, you're an owner that can get fired whenever. You have a say in what you make, and you have a saying in all this stuff. But you lose your job whenever.
Yeah, and
Revolves
people
around
get
a
fired
socialist mode of production,
when
where
who
the
decides
owners,
to
the
vote.
workers are the owners.
Yeah,
They own the
we
means of
all
production.
vote.
They have they have a say in their
They
benefits.
own
they
the
have a say in
means.
And I
what
can
happens
fire
in
them
the
whenever I
company.
want, though.
Well, there would still obviously be protections against like unjust firings and whatnot, and there should be certainly.
There are now.
And there are now as well.
Yeah, there currently are
America
those
is a great
things.
example of.
In California, there are really.
America is a great example, however, of like how there aren't.
Which
because
how it
right,
should
work
be.
states-
Somebody who has never hired or fired anybody.
Do you know what unemployment is?
Unemployment is literally a protection against like a unjust firing or just a firing period, even if
Yeah.
it is justified. Like
Yeah, you still have to pay them most of the time. They're gonna get their. They're gonna get.
and
their
they
bit.
always get it. It doesn't matter.
You know why they're gonna get it is because the government gets money off of it too.
Yeah,
That's why.
It does not matter. My my L&I, because at my biggest I had 60 employees, and I was paying $60,000 or $70,000 a quarter to our state L&I for benefits that, like, you know, you have an employee that like kind of like twists their ankle, and you're like, go to the hospital and tell them it's L&I. And they're like, well, I don't want to like cost you anything. It's like, I already paid the system. Go use what I've already paid for. People like would never understand that. They'd think that I like would pay if they went, and it's like, I pay whether you go or not. So I just need you to go and use what I'm already paying for. And they eventually got it.
Yeah, the government gets you, man.
They'll get you.
Yeah, the government's gonna get theirs.
Where
They'll
is
make
this
sure
guy?
of it.
No, I'm not back for more yet. I need to.
That's why I don't need you to. You don't need to be bragging about how much taxes you paid. Don't worry, it's already gone.
Exactly. I've already paid it all. Oh, come on, baby.
I think your problem here is the fact that you're lagging a lot.
Am I? Is that? I feel junky.
Yeah, I think that's probably the problem here.
I think I just.
How
need
many
to
more
just
hours
switch
of
to these
Ethan is there?
detonators. Oh, there's probably like 2 hours. We're not gonna get through this whole thing, but
Yeah, that's why we should watch a Fire Emblem.
because it's shorter,
Yeah,
doesn't make it better.
it is better though. You saw how much I was
talking.
talking about earlier though.
Listening to some guy complain that, you know, we shouldn't. Oh no, we shouldn't.
Yeah, Snail has heals too, so that's why he has more health.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've ground him down though. He doesn't have a heal left. There it is. That's one of my best.
That way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's not that way is because we have capitalism with like laughable socialist characters.
Dude, that's
We don't
I
even
find
have
it
any
very
true.
interesting that you're saying you want socialism with capitalist characteristics.
capitalist characteristics in the sense that it doesn't touch the means of production or the
What do you mean?
mode of production,
What do you
but
mean
nes-
means
but
of production? Like commies say this all the time. They're like, "Oh, what about the means of production?" What do you mean? The hands that like move stuff? What do you mean?
Well, they're
by
talking about
means of
talking about
production?
things that are actually valuable, not the socialists. They're not talking about themselves.
You're talking about the people that actually do work.
Yeah.
That make sure work gets done.
Or more so, they're talking about the fact that there are people who have earned money and they use that to buy means of production, and they're not happy about the fact that people have stuff that's useful.
The guy, somebody else owns the factory. Is that the concern here?
So somebody else owns the factory. Is the fact that the people working there aren't getting paid to work in the factory enough.
You know that factory wouldn't exist if somebody didn't own it. Like it would just be all run down and.
Yeah, basically what they want
be
to happen
Detroit.
is the fact that this place has been created. It has all this good stuff in it, but you know, people got exploited to get here. So the people that got exploited, which is all these people that work
But
at
their
the place,
exploitation is also like one of the stupidest things ever. It's like, okay, so if I pay somebody and they're happy with how much I paid them, like I paid them 10 times the market rate and they're super happy. Is that exploitation? Yes.
I'm just gonna be a Dan here. I'm gonna say is like the fact is they don't own the means of production. They don't literally own a piece of this machine that they're working with. So
but that's what Hassan thinks.
Yeah, they're getting.
Like, I don't know if it was a meme or what, but he was like,
exploited.
I gave my editor a computer. I gave him the means of production. It's like, what? I don't pay my editor. I give him the means of production.
So why did you betray Carlo? Why are you like a piece of shit?
I don't know. It was. I usually do the lower one.
That's all it is. Steve.
That's how I've been playing the game the whole time. I picked the lowest one first.
You know, I'll pick the worst path every time.
Do I get the Moonlight Greatsword this way? Hey, she's got a
sure
little
you
Professor
don't.
X too. Wait, really?
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna die here anyway. It's okay. I can't beat her. Blah. Wait, really? I can't get the Moonlight Sword if I... Fine, I won't do it then. I just literally...
It's not on this mission. It's actually one of the previous ones.
Wait, really? Hold on.
Yeah, it's in a chest, I guess, then.
Quit mission. Night, Pops.
It's on the Cell 240 mission. It's in a chest.
Cell 240 mission. If I replay...
Reach the coral convergence.
Wait, reach the coral convergence, really?
Yeah, keep going down.
Oh, okay, this way.
That's the Cell 240.
Why do they call it Cell 240?
Because that's the boss.
Oh, I see.
IB0 Cell 240. IB0A, I think it is.
Ibzu.
Nope, people call it Cell 240.
Got it. Oh, wait, I gotta change my assembly.
But basically, the difference
How did I
here...
make this work last time?
I think you had a chain gun. That makes it heavier. If you want 2 rockets, yeah.
Head? Can I make the head even lighter?
No, that's the lightest head.
Chest can be lighter. There we go. Let's do that one. This is what I'll do.
Offers an abundance of resources and offers the idea that you have freedom. One of the major problems with former historic socialist projects have always been commodity production being streamlined on necessity.
What commodities?
Not necessarily silly things like lighter production, industries that revolve
What
around
things,
making, I don't know, chocolate and coffee. Coffee was a major problem in East Germany. So like things of that nature that people need. I think those are things that we need to work on.
You mean things people
that
want?
Capitalism, I think, has done a much better
Communism
job at
can't
offering, to people, and that has a very sedating influence on the masses.
So capitalism is when we have
I don't see
coffee.
what's so great.
Yeah,
as
he's
the
talking about
liberals
the fact
hiring
is
a
we don't
driver
have
for
food under
0.00.
communism.
Yeah, he's like, look, they have coffee under capitalism that makes it better. But you know, if we could find a way to get communist coffee, then we would definitely be the better system.
I think there's like a chest off to the right, from the starting perspective it is, because it's actually close to you, behind you. I think it's that way, yeah.
Scan.
Yeah, scan on that one's terrible because that's the worst head in the game.
0.0015% of the company.
Makes sense.
What do you? I don't understand. That's not what I said. You just.
I'm
You
pretty
just
sure
made
it's
that
above
assumption.
you
But
right
we're saying
there.
there's a minimum wage. There's a minimum equity
Aha.
share that janitor would need to get.
Well, are you talking about
We're
in
ta-
comparison to doing
We're talking
profit
about a
sharing
socialist
model?
minimum wage.
Right. Well, but comparing it to a a model where employees are cut in on the profit, is what you're saying. Comparing that, what we have now to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I would just point out that, well, so first of all, you would talk about it a lot earlier about like, well, what companies do that? There's
profit sharing
a lot of
models
examples
exist.
of bigger firms that do this kind of thing.
Okay.
Doo-doo!
A great one
You
is
should probably
Southwest
heal.
Airlines. Did you know that?
I love this. Southwest Airlines is profit sharing, FYI. Did you know that?
No.
We'll just sit here and just keep clicking. Southwest Airline has profit sharing.
They have a massive employee profit sharing model.
How does it work? What's the details?
So it's a once a year payment, and they look at how they did the last year, and then a certain percentage of the profits they distribute bonuses to all of the employees, and it's fairly significant.
Dude, that's great. Like in a
That's
socialist
great.
country, that's it? That's all you want?
Is that all you want?
I can, you know what I mean? Like what are you asking for when you're asking for socialism? Just a bonus fund based on profit?
We can do that.
No, not necessarily.
Capitalism can do that.
Listen, I wasn't trying to make any assertion about that. I was just trying to give you.
It's like,
I wasn't trying to say that's the thing.
There's a big one that does it.
I think that's awesome, and I'd even be in favor
Yeah,
of
I'm pretty
regulating
sure
that and
in
saying,
the
yo, you need to
buildings
put
in
aside
like the
5%
river there,
or
somewhere
10%,
among the
whatever,
buildings
I
in
don't
the
care,
river, there's like
of your
a
profits
chest
to
for the
distribute
moonlight, and there's a bunch
amongst
of
your
bone
employees.
wheels
Is that
down there.
socialism?
No,
Is
that
that
would
all it takes?
be,
They
that
are
would
a
be
bunch of
some
bone
aspect
wheels,
of
aren't they?
socialization, especially if it's like earned by the workers that have some level of collective bargaining.
It just seems so bureaucratic. I don't understand the workplace in your
Bureaucracy
world.
still is very much at the foundation of a bourgeois state as well. It's
But
just
like-
that
but like,
we
dude,
don't think
Are you
You're
telling
trying to make
me?
another one.
You're telling me there ain't gonna be
No, I don't
bourgeois
understand.
bureaucracy
If that's not
under
good enough, then what
socialism.
is? I don't understand.
Exactly.
I think it's called People's Republic of Walmart. It's a really good book. And so like there was a genuine problem in the USSR with how to deal with crops.
It's literally just an
Oh,
argument.
really? There was a problem with crops in the USSR. I didn't know that.
The People's Republic of Walmart is an argument that Walmart and like Amazon and like these giant companies have enough data and understanding of things that they can actually calculate to the level that could allow for the communist controlled
No, it can't.
economy to function. And it's like
No, it can't.
they know how to track inventory. Like, ow, G-Bulls. Stop. Everybody stop coming after me.
Yeah, you're dead.
I really hate these guys.
I think there's like 10. Feels like
10
there's
of
10 of
them?
them. It feels like there's 10 of them. I think they said there was only supposed to be 6. It really feels like there's more than 6.
And agriculture and central planning, unfortunately, had
Hassan
limitations
reading.
at the time because
Yeah.
we did not have the computational power. One of the, ironically, like steps
The
in the right
computational
direction was
power
actually coming from
exists.
Chile,
AI!
which then got
The
their own
magic
9/11 years ago,
AI!
but we won't get into
Somebody
that
should get
because,
Hassan a
socialism is
copy
bad.
of I Have No Mouth and I Must
But
Scream.
there wasn't enough computational
Like-
power to implement centralized planning at that time.
Couldn't
effectively,
centralize
and it
plan.
led to
It's
plenty
true.
of issues, right? So, ironically, nowadays we have centralized planning.
So basically,
inside of
socialism hasn't
Walmart,
been
inside
tried
of
yet.
Amazon, and
More or less,
these
yeah.
companies
Yeah.
are
Socialism
generating
can't
a
be
ton
tried
of
because it
revenue
takes too much
that they
computer.
could cut their workers into,
Which
maybe
has
they
to
would
be
much
made
smaller.
by
Maybe they would be much
What's
smaller.
the
capitalism.
minimum that would make it socialist? That's what I'm curious about.
I don't think there's like an exact dollar
rocket
value
bits that's
rather
getting me.
than because you're looking for an exact dollar value rather than I'm talking about an entirely different way of thinking.
But there's the law. There's a law in a socialist country that says you must do.
I'll
this.
give you one example.
Yeah, there
I'll
would
give
have
you
to be a law.
good example from your life, right? Right now,
Tell us
you
what
can-
that law is.
right? Cam does wonderful goose gaffs and Photoshop.
Slaps. We love Cam.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and
Let's give it up
that
for Cam.
nature.
Let's give it up for Cam real quick.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Yeah,
Love
let's
you
let's
guys.
let's talk about Cam for a second so we stop talking about
Technically, you are
Dan.
interested in,
Dan's real tired of
maximizing
talking
your
about
revenue.
Dan and
What
all
you could have
this.
done instead of hiring Cam was outsource it to Fiverr, or I don't know, get like some Filipino graphic design company. If you were one of those like TikTok guys out there who's like,
Could have outsourced,
you know,
yeah,
I
that's true.
fired my entire workplace and like fucking hired everyone in Pakistan for 5 cents an hour. It's fucking sick. Like you could be one of those guys and do that. But the reason
Gee,
why you
why do
didn't
they
do that
shoot
is because
rockets
you
too?
feel as though
Why do
correctly
they
that
also
Cam,
have
has better
rockets?
output. Hey, no.
Hey, they have missiles. Those aren't
She
rockets.
almost-
The
I got
rockets
her.
are what you got.
No.
You do it.
No.
Alfredo, you gotta enforce the law on her.
No.
Alfredo has no interest.
Alfredo, you have a monopoly on violence
Go,
in
what?
this, in this
Kicking
office.
dogs. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll welcome.
Welcome to
Welcome break.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. So
Oh my
don't
gosh.
do that.
You know, you
and,
died with
and
2
there
heals.
should be restrictions on that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't
certainly.
want to waste
Like there
the
should be
heals.
restrictions on being able to do that.
It
being
doesn't
able to just,
waste
like,
the heal and
completely
use.
outsource your.
Yeah, but
your
if I
workplace.
use the heals and die,
those
it just
restrictions can come in a
elongates the
capitalist
thing
country in
that's
the form
already
of
gonna
tariffs,
lose.
which many do. Protectionist trade protocols exist globally.
You know
with
it's
the exception
true.
of the United States of
That's a
America,
pretty
which
pessimistic
has some
outlook.
protectionist
Yeah, I'm feeling
policies,
pretty. I'm listening
but,
to Hassan
others that,
talk about
most protection policies
communism
still
right
benefit
now.
the interests of capital
He
rather than the
chose
working
to
class
not
there.
listen to the Fire Emblem video.
That would make me
trade
more
partnerships have
annoyed.
created a structure where
No, I don't think it
labor
would.
has outsourced.
Some guy.
It personally has
Manufacturing
socialist
capabilities
arguments
being
like a
completely
third of the
outsourced.
time.
These are very bad things that exist exclusively due to greed that you understand under capitalism.
So much
That
greed.
needs to constantly be put in check. But
Yeah,
a
you don't
government
have
that
to
is
be on the ground.
designed,
You
a
can
government
actually
that's
just
full
jump
of
on a
rich
building.
people, that is interested in their own wealth and wealth accumulation, that has stock options and trades like Paul Pelosi, and has that gets jobs for their family members in Goldman Sachs like Ted Cruz and many other examples, is never going to truly represent the interests of the working class, and is always going to put the interests of capital ahead of the interests of the working class. You will never be able to have a real democracy. That's the difference between a bourgeois democracy and a proletarian democracy.
Wait, proletarian and bourgeois democracies? We have different types of democracies based on how much money you have?
It seems so nebulous when you talk about it.
Why is it? I don't think it's nebulous at all.
It's super nebulous. You don't even know how to hire somebody.
I know, but like,
oh my gosh, would you?
There's got to be like a constitution that says outlines, or I don't know, whatever the fuck you want to write, right? There's gotta be
Move!
something
Let me
that says,
move!
Like, or rule laws that says,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
this is the minimum.
Why
that a
are there
person should get
immediately
from
so
the
many
company.
of these guys?
Yes.
And
It
what
should
would
be
that-
married to the
would be-
output. It should be married to the productive forces. It should be married to the output.
Blaine would
That
agree
should
with
be
Fire
pegged
Emblem
We talked
Vid
about this enough,
in
though. I don't
That
want
should
God.
be pegged to the performance. And I think that is the best possible way to work.
Pegged to the performance. There we go. What does that mean? I haven't been vague. I just say you should peg it to the performance. What performance?
Wait, you
I guess
mean
my problem on that is like
giving
how can you
commission just
possibly-
like in capitalism?
Yeah, capitalist commission.
Enforce that?
No, not.
Yeah, working for commissions?
Hi,
I
I
don't
use
know.
Febreze Fade Defy plug.
And I use this.
Febreze has a microchip to control scent release, so it smells first day
Yay,
fresh for 50
microchips.
days. 50 days?
They're putting chips in our Febreze scents, everybody. You gotta get these
Even afford
commie
possibly even,
Febreze out of your house.
Analyze that. Like how much more how
that's
much
where
more
we go-
money are we making because the janitor comes in?
That's
Like,
where we go to the Walmart example.
Is it?
That, like, we are already completely aware of that. We have, we have actuaries, we have CPAs that are working in real time, making mathematical equations to figure out exactly what not to pay people, technically. And they could be in a
What's the
total
difference on
social
the pay-
reorganization of the economy with a socialist dogma.
Okay. So
would
there's-
work in the opposite direction.
Okay.
It's kind of like this.
Please,
It's
let's move
like
to another
this.
topic.
Okay,
I don't want to bore people.
Well, wealth was one aspect of this, right? Like, we already have property taxes, for example, in America, but we never make similar mathematical equations
And
on
I think I know
capital
what-
gains,
I know what
earnings that
Hassan's
you make in the
ideal
stock
America
market.
would be.
Wealth accumulation could work in the exact same way as
Him
property
with
taxes,
all the money?
and yet we don't have any mathematicians.
No.
working
It's the
on
current
it.
America.
And that's a great idea,
People
right?
probably
No,
do
of
that
course not.
in a lot of countries.
No?
No, and what I would be saying is he's talking about the book. He just wants an all-powerful AI to control everything humans do and have that thing be on top to perfectly, equitably provide for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because then he can have a controlled thing, and it makes everything fair as long
Yeah,
as
everything will be
he's
fair
number
because
one.
everybody's underneath the AI, and the AI can decide who lives or dies depending on how valuable they are. Because the AI
Exactly.
controls everything,
AI, it's the AI value theory. AI theory of value.
When you go just a little deeper into what he's talking about, it's like, oh yeah, the AI will know how to do this. The AI will maximize for profit.
Oh,
and it will
there it is where they
maximize-
all been hiding.
They'll
Okay.
maximize to give people what they're actually worth. And it's like, so what if they aren't worth something, though?
Yeah, what if we have an AI that can't draw hands?
Or what happens when it realizes most of the workforce is useless and it gets rid of them?
Yeah, imagine being the guy that the AI is like, you are worth,
You are costing the
5.
company money every
You
time.
owe the company. Like,
You owe the company money to work here because that's how bad you are at your job. Yeah, like that's kind of how the AI is gonna work. I don't see why
it
it
would have
would
to
have.
min-max, right?
Yeah, I don't see why it would have any kind of protection for a person's feelings or well-being. It's gonna give you the best economy you can get.
The
And you're
best
gonna give it,
man can get.
you're gonna give it all the power because you can't allow humans to be in charge because they're unfair. They'd be unequal.
Yeah, they're inherently flawed, right? By the greed that you believe exists.
Yep.
Or doesn't exist because communism removes the greed.
Yeah, that really seems like the end game for his idea.
He wants Deus Ex, where he merges with the AI.
Oh yeah, did you find the chest?
I did. I found the chest. It was over there.
Yeah. Oh, there was another one. Because that didn't have moonlight in it.
What, this one down here?
Yep, there's another one. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's one on the other side.
So I opened that one up.
I think there was 2 down there.
And then I
'cause
went to
think
the other
there's-
side. Because the other
Did
side
you-
was like.
Did you get
just
the chest over here? 'Cause
It
I think
wasn't a
there should
chest,
be
it was
one.
just a downed robot.
And it had a thing in it?
Yeah, it had like a tag or whatever.
Well, I think you got it then. Probably it should be fine.
Cool.
That aren't
They're putting a dang Neuro
well,
Lincoln off
this is
of
not
Braves.
just the distinction between socialism
But that's
and whatnot. Because there is, we talked about
But I think
theory.
that's
We talked a
good.
lot about theory, but then we also have to talk about like what is possible, right?
What?
At least in
What?
the short term. And that is the reason why I
Capitalism!
always
It
try to
works
tell
great!
More,
Just learn to
rugged,
work with it better.
More rigid, more passionate socialists.
That's where I'm coming from,
To
though.
cooperate, I know, to cooperate with people that are also perceived as radicals in America.
No,
Like, there's a reason why
Hassan thinks
Bernie Sanders, who has been
that
socialist his
Ethan
entire
is
life,
going to make
basically has only
people too
implemented,
passive
or advocated for
to want
social
to
democratic reforms in
do
the United States of America.
socialism.
That's it. That's the only. There's the only reason why he's
He
done
thinks
that.
he
is so
thinks
that he
Ethan
can,
is going to actually make it harder to
he
make
can
socialism.
inspire the masses and create an opportunity where workers have more control over their own lives and develop autonomy and inevitably develop class consciousness.
Oh,
creating,
class
ample
I think
opportunity
people
for,
know
if
there's
you,
classes of
believe in that sort
people
of
in the
thing, socialist
world.
revolution.
Right, but that would never happen if the people were happy with their conditions. I feel like that would not happen. But anyway, so let me ask you this, to peg this down even more. In a socialist workplace, socialized workplace, certain jobs are still going to get paid more than others, right?
My socialism is augmented.
Absolutely. Oh shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be class. There'll be class, right? There'll be class distinctions in a socialist.
No, the class distinction is not on pay. That's a.
There will still be class. Response: no, the class distinction will not be on pay. So there will be class. He literally said it's just not on pay. But it'll be on what? Some other kind of resource, perhaps, that is equated to monetary theory?
No.
A liberal understanding. That's actually
You don't
why
think people be like, I see people like, you're the rich dude in the Porsche, and I'm the working class dude in the
Great question.
Toyota.
Great question.
You don't think people will see that?
So social hierarchies are inevitable. There will be different kinds of hierarchies. What you're talking about is perfectly valid. But the class distinction in a socialist economy is not is completely abolished.
The
because
class
the idea
distinction.
is there will be those who have and those who have not, is what you're saying, at least in the interim.
Everyone will have. But there'll be
everyone
people
will
that have more.
Exactly.
People who have a lot more.
Yes, some people that
Yes.
want to have more will be able to have more, and even a lot more. Yes, this is why I always.
Wait, what's the difference? If there's people that have a lot more under communism, how does that change the system you currently hate? Like, if we had a communist system, and there was like a capitalist undertow that was like, oh, hey, we want to be capitalist now, would Hassan be in that capitalist, like, mouthpiece camp where he's like trying to grift off of capitalism now because it's the one that he can get more people excited about? Transcend class and return to caste. Oh no. All right, let's see if I can beat this thing.
Talk about because they have no control over the lives of others in that regard.
I find this idea that like people in a socialist country who have a lot more, they're able to make a lot more money, somehow won't be influenced by power or influence or greed. But somehow society
You're saying no
is
matter what
magically
happens, it
dispelled.
will turn into capitalism. Is what you're saying?
I think
there will be
well, these people are going to be influencing the
a
system to
concentration of
benefit
power.
themselves.
Yes. The
Yeah, I just
best
think people are going to
way
influence the system
stop
to
that
benefit
from happening
themselves.
Is democracy. Democracy in the workplace. Actual
You
like
mean
we cannot even imagine. Mark Fisher once said, "It's easier to imagine the end of the world than to imagine the end of capitalism," and he was right. This is capitalist realism because we are having this argument within the boundaries and within the cultural understanding of like existing capitalism today.
'Cause capitalism's
and the reality
been
is,
working today, hasn't it?
we have no way. You and I, as it stands, I have no way of like helping you try to imagine a world where like
I
each
can't
individual worker has
explain
more
it to you,
autonomy and does
Ethan.
not suffer
It's
from
just
alienation.
beyond
Workplace,
understanding.
It would offer them plenty of more educational opportunities, plenty more free time. I guess the example you can point
No
to,
matter what, it'll be
in terms
corrupt.
of different degrees of socialization would be
It'll be corrupt in a different
person
way.
doing contracted work at Uber, okay, to make ends meet in America, versus like a regular unionized factory worker in Germany. The level of autonomy that they have and the level of interest that they have.
So
and the
is
level of engagement
Germany
they have in a
communist or
workplace
is it
democracy some
capitalist
form
right
of it
now?
is drastically different than the contracted Uber employee. Their worldview is drastically different. Their democracy yields drastically different results as a consequence.
But let's be realistic. We're not going to spring into an alternate reality where capitalism doesn't.
We're not.
We're not going into an alternate reality where this suddenly works.
Which is part of why I'm saying.
No, but that's why I always advocate for. That is why I always advocate for, in the interim, social democratic reforms that will yield more opportunities for.
Yes, yielding more opportunities would be good.
For
like what capitalism does.
For workers to organize. Now, of course, you can prove. You can.
I want to follow this out a little.
Okay.
Yeah, follow it out. Go all the way.
I
love how Ethan just has to ask these simple questions of how do you hire somebody? What are the laws? What if somebody has something? Oh, is this all you want? Like the questions he's asking are so simple. How does communism not have an answer? Would we need a better communist to answer these for him?
Exploiting their workers. The CEO, the founder of a car company, he makes a lot more than the workers.
As long as it is democratically organized in the sense that like every single person is like, no, your productive output in this circumstance is significantly higher than us, then yeah, that would be.
And how do they
valid
determine that?
Through a democratic process.
They have like a vote for everybody in the company has equal.
They have an
ballot
AI
power.
that tells them how much the owner is worth.
Depending on like how long you've worked at the company and things of that nature. These are different formations at this point. Like this is now we're getting into like how do we organize our workplace and like how much power do we give each individual vote in the workplace? Yes, they would have one vote, but ultimatly, what are the matters that
there we go.
tasked with
just like
voting on? Structure, right? Like
this commenter just said Ethan should talk to Walsh. Oh no.
Every single person does have a vote. The rank and file will always vote, but there's still a negotiations committee. There's still someone engaging in the contract negotiations.
Let me say this.
There's still elections being held inside of the union. Does that make sense?
It does. But here, does this make sense?
Yeah.
You're inside of, and I want to ask you, Dan, because I'm curious about your opinion. You're inside
Me? Why would you want to hear what I have to say?
The CEO, founder, he makes a lot more than the.
They got rank A.
Do you
Yay,
think
Moonlight!
The leaders should make more than the workers, Dan?
Dan, do you think the leader, me, should make more than the workers? You.
Well, it just kind of depends on. I mean, there's. I think
depends.
there's nuance there because I think it really depends on what the company looks like, how it operates. Should the CEO, who is on a day-to-day basis working and managing a company, make more money?
He works the same hours as the production people.
I mean, with more responsibility, I think should inherently come with some more privilege. However, I mean, now,
privilege.
Oh, really?
Are we talking about a CEO or are we talking about an owner? Because a lot of owners don't do shit.
No, I'm talking about someone who's working.
Oh, he hates owners. You know what I have done? I have not raised rent on my tenants in 4 years. I have maintained the same rent. I don't do a lot of maintenance because of it, and they know that. But you know what? That's something I do. That's something I do for them. Workers should make none.
Different in a socialist.
Right, and the owners may be private or even maybe a public company.
The CEO. So you agree he should make more? So
it just depends. Yeah.
There's not room for nuance. There's just not.
What do you mean?
If you're living in a socialist country, this shit needs to be
I do love these
laid
thick
out.
bell bottoms.
But there's not room for nuance. Where in every workplace we're going to decide little different rules for everything.
Under capitalism, where you have the freedom to.
But there's rules like minimum wage.
But with rules, exactly, you would have the similar structure pegged to like.
I'm trying to ask you guys one question. I keep getting these nebulous
like a maximum wage tied directly to your lowest paid employee.
This is what I wanted to say though. Let's say.
Do you hear what I said?
I did.
Maximum wage tied to like there could be a situation where like a maximum wage could be implemented under a socialist structure to ensure that every single workplace has at least a maximum wage that is directly tied to the lowest paid worker and their full-blown compensations and benefits package they
Okay,
get.
let's just go back to so the CEO, he earns more. He has more responsibility. Oh, Hassan, you said
I don't agree with that
more.
either. No. I don't agree with CEOs having more responsibility or should earn more for the record.
I think CEOs don't have more.
Okay, what does the CEO do? Communism, because like everybody collectively makes a decision together.
There just wouldn't be CEOs, I don't think. But then who starts the business?
A group of people come together, possibly one person, and then whenever he wants to hire somebody, he has to make it an even split.
Ooh, damage mitigation. Look at that.
So basically, the way it works is this guy starts a business. He wants to bring in more people. They have to pay him out his share to join the business.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not how that works. No, we can't. Oh,
No,
no, wait.
Wait, that's exactly how co-ops work.
Oh,
Dang
no.
it! We have recreated capitalism with more steps.
No, they have to pay money to join the business. How are they going to get the money? They're going to get a loan from the government so they can join the business. Oh, no. I need to get some ice cream.
All right, we're going to build a death scythe.
Then we can melee.
We're gonna try to go for a classic death scythe model.
All right.
Copy image. There we go. Have him hanging out right there. Yeah, that'll be okay. I can move Hassan up a little. God, freaking Cheebles. Just whacked my glasses into nowhere. What the heck was that? Where'd they go? I almost got that fly. Oh my goodness. Okay, armaments. A pair of shell-firing armament built into the head. We got Vulcan heads. Okay, a machine gun, a machine cannon, a pair of shell-firing shoulders capable of dealing significant damage to light and the armored mobiles. Beam scythe, buster shield, cannon. A long-barreled shell-firing cannon used only once with a death scythe held over the shoulder with firing. Okay, so we're going with machine guns in the offhand. It looks like. So I think I might need better. Are there machine gun shoulders? Let's go to the parts shop here. Buy laser cannon, missile launchers, plasma. Okay. We have to pick one that looks kind of like wings, maybe. Or we just go with the songbird. We just go with the songbird for now. Ooh, look at that. Explosive thrower. That's pretty cool. I actually really like that. Can I get that for the other arm? Of course you can't. Of course you can't get the cool thing for the other arm. We'll do burst handgun. No. This little guy, this burst machine gun, like maybe make that look like the shield. This machine gun might work. Yeah, let's do this guy. And then I think I've unlocked a new head to buy that's much more... This one. It's much more gun to me with its dual antennae. And then chest piece. Do we have one with good front vent? No, not really. The best shoulder boys. Those kind of go off. These kind of kill it. Okay. I'm gonna go with this guy. And then our legs, we need a nice... That's a good leg. That one's pretty weird looking. Oh, look, you can just be a boat. Okay, let's get this leg, because I think this leg actually looks very Gundam. We'll see if I come back for anything else. Okay, we're going, oops. Machine gun, moonlight. I kind of like the way it looks as a wing. But it kind of does have those up over the shoulder dealies. So maybe grenade cannon ear shot. Yeah, we'll do that. Switch to this head. Do we have the good front vents? Kind of on this guy. But I think this one fits the look better. And let's see if we get... Do these? No. 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 Okay. Legs definitely have to switch to this one. Okay, perfect. I'm on a boat. It's true.
What? You just said
no. If you're an owner-operator, and you're literally fucking... I was talking to Dan about this earlier before you got here, but it's like the difference between what you do and the difference between, like, let's say, a jewelry designer is that a jewelry designer can outsource...
Ah, yes. The classic proletariat position of jewelry designer.
How does he jump to that?
Because he only thinks in design. He's probably planning on doing a jewelry drop with his next, like, merch thing. So he's just been talking to a lot of
Oh, he can make
designers.
so much more money with that, man.
Oh, yeah, because rocks are rocks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Source their fucking labor. But you are the main product here, which is why it's very hard for you to see it.
I'm using a different example.
Yeah,
like
so if you're a fucking jewelry designer and you are responsible for all the beautiful designs in your jewelry that's like super competitive, everybody loves it, everyone wants to buy your fucking jewelry, you can still hire other people like designers to help benefit that process
and, in this
and make better jewelry.
Workplace
okay,
where everybody's altruistic.
Yes.
They vote to say the CEO should make more money than us.
Yes. Well, the way that works would be slowly but surely as you bring on more people into your company, or as you expand and you grow.
No,
okay, in a democratic
they wouldn't
capacity,
do that.
You are taking away the earnings that you have right now and eroding it because you're giving it to some people that are coming in because you think that they're valuable enough to be able to pay that way to be paid that way.
They're
but that
valuable
process is
enough.
being democratically voted on, and ultimately you know that you're doing that because you,
Also,
in
if
your
there aren't ones that
understanding,
you can't fire
later
them.
down the line, if you care
True.
about this sort of thing, you're going to make even more money. Or rather,
money shouldn't be a motivator.
Money should not be a motivator. You're right.
Why
Like,
does
in my situation,
why
it's
does
not.
the CEO care if his company makes more money? It's not. He's not going to make more money.
No, it's in the long term. You are
No,
creating more stability
no.
this way because you understand that every expansion of your productive output, okay, every single piece of expansion on your productive output yields better long-term stability and more money if that's what you're fucking motivated by. But ultimately, that's not the main motivator.
Nope.
I would actually argue the opposite. I would argue the opposite.
More
because
people, more problems, man.
More people have inner workplace issues is like one thing. Another one is like you can't just assume everybody's gonna have like complete output the whole time.
Okay,
Like,
should
how
I
do you-
do the gray from the light section or this black? I should probably go with just black. Where we go.
But I was just gonna say, like, how do you assume every single worker is going to have the same output because you're hiring them for the same price? So the money you're making goes up minimally. Like the amount of money you're going up is very small when you're the CEO, and you have way more. You have way more issues keeping your ship going straight than just a random designer on the floor. And that's why capitalism is the way it is. This person does a job, the other person figures stuff out, and the person doing the job doesn't have to care. It is literally the CEO's job to care.
Yeah, the most caring. That's why we have the CEO.
Yep.
To make sure that everything is cared for.
Yeah, we have specialized tasks, and we specialize in having one person be a CEO to run things, because on their head when it goes wrong.
It's true. Does every worker want to have it on their head if something goes wrong? Do you think any workers want it to be on their head when something goes wrong? Probably not, would be my guess.
Like, why would I possibly want to hook up myself with other random people and have my pay completely dictated by their performance?
Yeah, which is funny because that's literally what the owner is doing, right? The owner is like, yeah, I'll hire these people and they'll help me out and we'll see how they do.
Yeah. Hassan just has no concept of how anything works.
No, he can't. He can't have any idea of how any of this
Because he's never worked in his entire life. He's never been told. Or he's never had to learn. He's always just been taught the stupid socialist way about labor theory of value. And just saying labor theory of value means it somehow actually matters. Like it's a legitimate position.
People should get what they put in. Should they? Does everybody get what they put into things? Is that at all how anything in the world works? Not really.
Considering socialism, that money's a motivator. That's like
I think some
that's
people,
like almost like taboo. I feel like.
No, don't worry about what other people say in the situation or what you think people will perceive from what I'm saying.
Let me go back.
Because that part is irrelevant.
Okay, so let's say in a world where the CEO makes more money.
In a world.
Do you think it's a possible or even likely situation that the heads of these companies who make more money are going to want to influence the government and their workers to vote or support legislation that gives them more money or more influence? Is that a likely outcome?
Yes.
Wait, can you ask that again? Sorry, I saw a comment saying you were rectangular, and it fucked my brain up a little bit.
I think that I think that.
Shut up,
yes, and I think
Dan.
that speaks to what Hassan was saying. I think that's what it speaks to what Hassan was saying earlier about why a lot of Marxists have criticism of social democracy. That lack of elimination of the capitalist profit motive part of the economy.
Oh, the capitalist
will
motive
naturally
part?
result in what you're saying.
That's my point. So thank you, Dan. In socialism, the money motive doesn't. It's literally it's not compatible. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't have money
because you're going to have
motive.
people at the top who are going to want more. They're going to want more influence. They're going to want more power. They're going to want more money.
Yeah.
And they are going to exert their influence, their status.
You just make the people down below less sad. That's what he said in the beginning, remember?
They're going to be able to influence
Socialism is not egalitarian in the sense that there's like full-blown
there's a problem
equity.
here?
Socialism does not.
Socialism only exists when you remove the money motive, right? Dan?
Socialism and the way we understand socialism.
True.
Yes, the money motive is.
That's literally what
now we're
socialists
talking about-
argue
now we're
for.
talking
You
about
want to
eroding
do.
it.
You don't want to remove the money motive.
Because I'm in the middle ground where I'm talking about like what's
'Cause you're a social
realistic.
democrat.
No, I'm not. I'm talking
Sounds
about
like you are.
I'm talking about the realistic short-term period because I don't live in that I don't live with that
I
operational
agree that if we
basis
lived in
myself.
listen, if I
but I
agree-
know
if
that
we
other people
live-
can't do that for the time being.
If we could just teleport into a utopian Star Trek world where money doesn't exist and everybody's equal, yeah, everybody would love that. But let's talk about real shit.
I am talking about real shit.
Well,
which
that's
is
what I'm.
why-
No,
that's
you're
all I'm
not.
trying to do,
Giving
too.
you-
You're not talking about
which is why I'm
anything
giving you
real.
an example of like
You've
the
literally
interim
been
period of
like
moving towards
saying nothing
socialization
this
or
whole
social,
time.
A socialist transitional
I
state.
agree with that.
But the problem is when I describe that, you say, well, that's not socialism. I'm like, yeah, I know. Money being a motivator for certain
I'm
people.
saying once you move to socialism, the system, in my opinion, falls apart. It doesn't work because it falls through the same trappings. Because people are going to want more power, they're going to want more influence. You're going to have capitalistic parties, thank you, Lena, that are going to want
Yes.
influence. You're
And-
going to have these external
Yes,
forces that
those
want
who-
that freedom,
You're
that want
saying
that
there will
individualism.
always be, even in a democratic organization
And
in the
I believe
workplace,
the
there will
best
be
that
people
we
that make
can-
more, right? That's
I
what you're
believe the
saying.
best that we can do is provide
There will be
laws
people that
and
make more.
regulations that guarantees people a fair, equitable life.
I gotta do
Let me ask you
within
this.
within those rules, I believe if you're operating within those rules, then you can do and make however much money as you want.
see
you're
if I can
operating
make
the
this
rules
into
with
the
a super
shield.
progressive tax rate, and everybody's provided for. Because if you want to move to a socialist system, I don't think that system actually works.
So the cultural differences that we differences that we see in
Money
countries
exists
that
in
are
gold
still
and
capitalist but
chips.
social democratic.
So much word
versus
salad
countries
tonight,
like the
yeah.
United States of America, they're hyper individualistic and have like very little social democracy. Is the argument that I'm making is that with more social amenities and with higher degrees of socialization, people's attitude towards money and money making becomes drastically different.
Status is important,
There are different motivators. Yes, status can be an important thing.
Yeah.
But that social hierarchy.
How-
but that social hierarchy.
How is a system that's based on like some people having status any better than a system that's based off of people having money? They don't have an answer for something that seems like kind of, hey, maybe you should have an answer for this. This seems like pretty big in your worldview here. But no answers. Who's squealing?
Designed around status has nothing to do with the productive output and has nothing to do with like your material
I
reality.
don't know why.
It has the capacity to change like the way people perceive
What's
you.
with my guests tonight?
Like an attractive person versus like someone.
Michael
who is
can't get
maybe
near the
not
microphone.
as
You got
aesthetically pleasing. Right? Those
background
things are going to be good.
vocals.
Like there's always going to socialism doesn't mean like LeBron James has to be the same fucking height as like like a 5-foot person to play basketball. There's going to be different earners. There's going to be there's always going to be some level of competition.
Okay.
This is not
really?
a bad thing. This is a good thing. This is how you innovate.
If there's different levels of earners, do you agree that that seems to be incompatible with Marx's theory of socialism?
Yes.
Because if
no, it's absolutely not. Because all
absolutely
correct
not.
me if I'm wrong,
How?
Hassan, 'cause you're more read on this than me. But
Oh, imagine telling Hassan ever that he's more red on something than you. Like, imagine being such a sim.
Oh no, he meant commie. He's more commie.
Yeah, you're more commie than me because you're more into this. Like, no way. No way. I need some lime green in this baby. There we go. Other lime green. I'm gonna make my device lime green on this one too. There we go.
all that is being said at the end of the day is that people are entitled to the value that they create. If somebody
is
creates
that all
more
that's being
value
said?
than somebody else, then they are entitled to more value.
The theory is wonderful.
Yes.
But
And the
I'm
idea-
talking about we're talking about real shit, right?
Mhm.
So when people make more, they're gonna want to influence. I'm not saying everybody, but again, this goes back to what I was saying last week. There's people who are pathological. Okay.
Yes, there's always bad faith
And even in a socialist
Bad
country,
faith
the sociopaths
actors.
are probably going to float to the top just because they're willing to do everything that other people aren't, or they
It's
care
true.
about status and power.
People
other
who-
people don't.
people who don't
And so
mind will
these
always do.
high-functioning, highly motivated sociopaths are going to want to.
You know, grifters like Ben Shapiro.
and business democracy.
Yeah,
I forget.
exactly.
Yeah.
to
Phrase
inflict
it
their
like
power
that,
and
and maybe
influence.
he'll
Like they do now
understand.
under a
Yes,
capitalist.
like they do
Right,
now.
right,
And
okay.
that's why I think it's not realistic to expect that not to happen. And I think the most realistic and the best way is in between. Because
That's my favorite part about all of this is like you'll have this bad thing as well under your socialist idea. Yes. Oh, okay. Like, how is this better then? How is it you could so confidently say
Well,
you
it's
would
more
rather
equitable though. But yeah.
Yeah. How? You know,
It
'cause they
is
own the means.
because it's socialist. Socialism is more equitable. That's why.
Yeah, we'll go with that. More equitable socialism. I love this. This will be-
Capitalism,
let's see how this
hold on.
does.
Capitalism doesn't work. We know that.
Mhm.
And I think socialism doesn't work for the same exact thing.
Mhm.
Because people are going to want to, the psychopaths are going to want to move it.
Oh, it does
And
say
I think the
decision.
only
Okay.
realistic solution is in the middle, where you just create a sandbox that is good for everybody and operate within that sandbox. 'Cause
There you
everything else
go,
seems like a fantasy.
sandbox.
Every
I love
single
the
thing that you've
sandbox
mentioned
model.
in both of these equations still revolve around human greed, turning humanity and the way people operate into capitalist little demons who are driven by profit. I do believe self-interest is a thing that happens. That's certainly true, which is
So when it's capitalism that makes the self-interest, it's capitalist demons. But when communism makes self-interest, it's good demons. Like what? What is the argument?
why you have to have certain restrictions.
when we
placed
need
upon
people to work
that
overtime, they're just gonna do
ensure
it,
that
'cause,
they
you
don't
know-
Yeah, they're
go,
just gonna work
they don't
hard
get out of
because-
hand
Of the
with level of power they
because of
have.
the
The way I describe it is
implication.
this: in America, people always say labor unions are corrupt. They're actually really bad. They have a rigid hierarchy, and they are also susceptible to nepotism. This much is true in certain labor unions. So there's been a lot of reform in the Teamsters and
I
the
don't see
UAW. Shouts out to that. No,
Yeah,
there-
there
what do
has
you mean?
been.
Historically, there
Has there been reforms in the Teamsters?
absolutely has been.
I
mean,
don't think so.
Oh, no, I know you don't say that about unions. My point is this, though. The way I counter that always is this. There's always going going to be corruption. There's always going to be, bureaucratic red tape. There's always going to be nepotism. But I would much rather, if corruption is inevitable, I would much rather have a more
Oh no, my internet.
More just and equitable
system. A more democratic process
that
at the very least, by its very design, like in the union structure, offers tangible benefits to the workplace, to the workers, rather than the corruption that we currently experience on a daily basis under the capital.
Double swing.
Nice.
That's the same thing I want.
Okay, which is why I said,
that's what I want. I think you can do it in socialism.
I also think that socialism, when you consider corruption and high-functioning sociopaths, there's a lot more risk when you centralize the power at the top. Let's say one party for a dictatorship or tyranny.
No, there's not going to be a dictator. Ethan, you're crazy. There's not going to be a dictatorship here. Everything's
that I actually
it's a communatorship.
The
it's the communator, not the dictator.
Whether it's a multi-party system or a single-party system or a two-party system like we have that yields results exclusively, like the material changes that are made are done at the behest of corporations and the wealthy capital owners. No matter what, I think that a more democratic...
Why? I just don't understand this hate of capital, because you've literally just explained that under your socialist system there would still be haves and have-nots. It just wouldn't be that they didn't have capital. What they have not is food or some other resource is the new capital. Why do people hate capital so much? Capital isn't the problem. Capital creates the profit motive.
They just hate that people are successful without socialism. That's really what it comes down to, is the fact is when you have capital, it means you're successful, and they don't like it when people are successful.
But there's still
an ideology based entirely on jealousy.
There's still successful people under socialism, though. That's the thing they just don't understand. They're gonna still have
it's gonna be equitable. It's gonna be equitable. That's what they every single time they always. Hassan just said it. It's gonna be equitable though, so I'm gonna prefer that because it's gonna be more equitable. They just go back to that every time.
I think Michael figured it out. When capitalism does it, it's an incubus gunning for your girl. But when commie does it, it's a succubus there to give you a good time. That makes more sense. Also, I hope our new furry friend is watching. I love that he was like, I'm a furry, and here that show's not a furry. He's like, this show's not a furry. This show though, total furry show. I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
No, the show is a total furry show. He just said it's not because of the hat. It's because there's a bunch of furries in it.
I don't even remember what he was talking about.
Yeah, I read the comment, unlike you. So where he said, it's like, oh yeah, there are a bunch of furries.
No, I don't remember which one had the hat, though.
It was the main character. The main character is the one that has the hat. He just has a Birdman face.
Oh, that one. Okay, yes.
Yeah, he has a Birdman face, but there's a village of bunnies. A mask. That's what's furry.
That's the furry part. Oh, I can't wait to talk to that guy.
Yeah, I hope we soon.
Oh, I'm also looks like Mark will be on Thursday, so we'll spend this Thursday talking to Mark until he has to go to bed.
I have no idea when that is, but I think that's probably pretty late because I don't know when he actually sleeps.
He when he laid it through our DMs, and I said, okay, cool, so I'll see you at 7 PST, and he's like, oh, PST? Okay, I could probably give you a couple hours. And I was like, okay, cool. like, bro, you don't have to go out of your way just because you think it's
I was gonna say you could do it an hour earlier if you want.
I'll watch it if it's good because I don't like furry stuff unless it's bunny girls. It sounds like it's bunny girls. So...
Well, it's bunny girls, but it's just bunnies actually.
They're just less girl, more bunny.
Technically female, but not humanoid.
Let's see, where's my...
That's what it looked like he was saying.
Fall 2023, here we go. Pull this up. Where's his picture? Mark will be fine. He's got one good leg to stand on.
That's the cyborg leg, not his real one.
I listened to his Metroid retrospective, and it's good. It's very good. It gives me a lot of stuff I want to ask him about. This bunny, apparently, it's just straight up a bunny. Okay.
Looks
That
nice
really
for you.
is just a bunny.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's just a bunny.
It's my kind of show, theoretically. Sounds
process
good.
is always going to be a better and more effective mechanism at fighting against centralized power and sociopaths that want to
Is
assume
it?
control.
In
I
what
think
way?
that there are, again,
Name
if
one
that is
way.
an inevitability, no matter what happens,
Hey, buddy,
I personally
are you
believe
a friend?
that more of a democratic process is going to be more effective. I'll give you an example.
I like democracy too.
DuPont Chemical. DuPont Chemical, under the capitalist,
DuPont
liberal,
Chemical.
bourgeois democracy in the United States of America, was able to dump toxic waste into farmlands and destroy natural water supplies and
I
delicate
don't know.
ecosystems.
I may be
They still
losing
do it to
internet,
this day. We
actually.
have
This
PFAS,
stream might
forever
get cut
chemicals,
short
right?
just because I lose
Just
internet.
everywhere. We have microplastics. all
Yeah,
that
I was
good
gonna
stuff,
say
right?
earlier, but the difference between the two routes is literally the ending you want. This is the time when you actually choose your ending. This mission here.
Oh, this is literally it?
Yeah, doing
In a
this mission or the
situation
other
where,
mission. That
let's say,
chooses which
DuPont
ending you
DuPont Chemicals
go
was
for.
like,
Yeah, all right.
at least
This is the
democratically
separator.
organized. The workers themselves have more power to say, what the fuck are we doing? You're destroying my fucking uncle's farm. You're destroying
Yes,
my backyard.
because
And that way,
everyone
they can
who
put a
works
stop
at
to it, or
DuPont
least
had an uncle
demand
that owned something in the area that they were destroying
changes to
stuff.
happen, rather than expect the government to turn
Well,
around
no,
and be
everybody.
like, all right, we're the EPA.
Well, if
we just
somebody's working
realized that,
somewhere, they're gonna
we are
work locally. They're gonna own stuff collectively
going to,
locally.
you know,
Everybody
we
gets a
feel-
patch of land. Everybody works their land and a job at the same time. Because everybody's gonna die.
Because everybody's a
otherwise.
farmer.
Yeah, everybody has to be a farmer and do another job because everybody dies. Also, if you make too much stuff on your farm, you gotta give it to other people because it's unfair.
Whoo!
That's just how it go. That's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so insane too to think that they're like, you've
full
worked with
of
other
you.
people in your life.
Yeah,
Do you
fucking
think the people
idiots.
around you would vote to make less money? Do you
How
think
many
that
people I worked with that would do that? Let me think. No, none of them. None of them would say that.
Is there one, like, I could think of one person that when I was in college, I had a technical business introduction course, and it went through a bunch of different business models and different things in like the tech sector. Pretty interesting class overall. And at one point we were talking about the different ways to make money, which is, you know, you sell a product, you sell a service, you own something and lease it. And when our teacher said, when you own something and lease it, the guy next to me goes, "Oh, that's so evil." And I'm like, what? Why? And he's
evil
like,
to lease something.
he's like, that's just, you know, they're not doing anything. I'm like, they got the thing. Like, if I have this pencil and you need a pencil and I give it to you, but I make you pay for it, is that evil? Like, I broke his brain by just asking him if I should charge him to borrow my pencil. Like, do I have the right to do that? They get the little dogma in their brain. They're like, oh, it's evil when people own thing.
Well, I mean, we have a right to charge for our services. Do we have a right to charge for our goods?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
No, you don't. Also added Girlfriend Season 2. Attaboy! Blaine keeps me from going to another tax bracket. You're gonna vote to make less money. Okay. Well, you just bring on more workers then. You just have your wife or girlfriend join the company so you can spread the earnings around better.
Yeah, that's an interesting way that works. How would I hire all of my kids?
Yeah. Socialism totally stops sociopaths and psychopaths. Just look at USSR, CCP, Cambodia, Vietnam, Venezuela, South Africa, more. Thank you, Jimmy, for the bliss.
Government, because socialism is like all government.
No, that's not true, Ethan. Socialism is
No,
simply
it's
giving
not true,
more
Ethan. No, Ethan, no.
power to the individual in that
you're
regard.
telling
You have a government that also
You're
exists
telling people You
No,
do
I'm
not have a
not.
choice. You cannot run
You have
your
to go
business
inside the bubble.
this way.
Go inside the
I wanna
bubble.
be in the bubble.
You cannot.
Yeah, I mean, you.
That's a stronger government than we have. That's a
But I
really
think you
strong
want a
fiscal
stronger government than we have. You want a stronger.
Well, I want a strong.
He does, but I don't. I like the government unable to do things or unable to do things. I can't even speak right at this point.
Pretty good.
The less it can do, the better.
Yeah, but
That's like executive orders are criminal.
Here's your workplace. You must exist.
It is kind of insane that we allow
the EPA is
executive
silly.
orders.
Well, that's just the Congress being
but on the other
shit
hand,
heels.
in the situation with DuPont,
Yeah,
you
nobody
don't
can
have to
do their
this is
job.
not hypothetical.
Nobody
This is
can
something that
agree to
actually
do their
happened.
job right.
EPA said, "Sorry, we're gutted."
What was the first executive order?
I'm sure there's plenty throughout history. It's just the fact that nowadays, the way our government is formatted, executive orders is all that actually gets done, other than like spending bills.
The first executive order was issued by Washington on June 8, 1789, addressed to the heads of the federal departments. It instructed them to impress me with a full, precise, and distinct general idea of the affairs of the United States in their fields. What?
That is an interesting one, isn't it? Because that's not what we would think of today.
He's literally like, I'm ordering you to report how things are going. That was the first.
No, yeah, it's literally just, hey, send me a report.
Can you, can you send me that? That's hilarious.
Right? Like I said, from the beginning, it's just not the same as it used to be.
Okay, so until the early 1900s, executive orders were mostly unannounced and undocumented and seen only by the agencies to which they were directed. The Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order. Because an executive order is simply a presidential directive issued to agents of the executive department by its boss. So anytime the president tells the executive department to do a thing, that's an executive order. W gave the first one. OG Dubs. That's who it was. Just commanding his administration. Yeah. If you remember, Obama really started using them a lot. I mean, yeah, I think if we look at the numbers, the United States Executive Order 1 issued on October 20th, 1862 by Lincoln. Okay, so the numbering scheme was retroactively applied. So Lincoln's executive order establishing a I'll put this on screen. Establishing a provisional court in Louisiana was now understood as the executive order number 1.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
By the time we get to Truman, it's executive order 10340 placed all the country's steel mills under federal control. Of course it did. Because it attempted to make law rather than to clarify or set further law. Presidents since that decision have generally been careful to cite the specific laws under which they so Harry Truman's was found invalid because of what it tried to do, and now everybody tries to cite a thing. Wars have been fought upon executive order. President Bill Clinton in Kosovo. Harry Truman issued 907 executive orders, with 1,081 orders made by Theodore Roosevelt, 1,203 made by Calvin Coolidge, and 1,803 made by Woodrow Wilson. Franklin D. Roosevelt has the distinction of making a record 3,522 executive orders. Whoo! 2021, President Joe Biden issued 42 executive orders in the first 100 days of his presidency, more than any other president since Truman. Interesting. So Biden has the most at the beginning. Aren't Biden's all like undo this thing that that Trump did? Isn't that what they all
I assume
were?
a lot of them were, yeah.
And cut this pipeline in half. Table of U.S. presidents using executive orders. Okay. So Washington had 8. Adams with 1. What am I doing? Henry Harrison, William Henry Harrison, 0 executive orders. Maybe my favorite president now, based only on this fact alone. There's a picture of the big pile of black folders on the desk. It's so weird how they have them in like autograph folders now. It's like, oh, look at this. Okay, so starting here, we get into the numbered series. Teddy with his 1000, Wilson with his 1800s. Herbert Hoover. What is this column? Oh, the starting number. JFK with 200. So yeah, George W. Well, I mean, if we go all the way back, we go since Nixon. Ford, not too many. Jimmy Carter, 320. Reagan, 381. Bush, 166. Clinton, 364. Bush, 291. 276 from Obama. 220 from Biden. And 116 so far from Biden. Why did this person summon obelisk? You know. Harrison is 0 because I think he died a month into office. Well, they should count his deathbed as 1. Like, bring me a doctor. Like, that should be his executive order. Give him.
Does it count as executive order if it wasn't fulfilled?
Yeah, it wasn't, I guess.
Like that time Trump asked for a soda every time he pressed the button. Was that an executive order?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we counted more just any time the president asked for something, we could actually pump up. Because these are weak numbers. Look at this. 200 for Donald Trump. Come on. That's a 10th. That's less than a 10th of the Roosevelt numbers. Let's pump these up.
You gotta be making what? How many? Like 8 every single day?
Yeah, if you've got, well, let's assume you get your 8 years.
Yeah.
8 by 365. I don't want to do the math right now.
I was thinking 4, I guess. Yeah.
Almost 3,000 days. So it's 1 a day plus, you got to find 400 more in and around those. What's going on, ally? Shall we defeat Purple Man? I like this guy. I will kill you.
You killed Chatty.
No! Chatty! That's right.
Man, he's just running circles around you.
Is he?
I mean, he made you miss your cannons. Yeah, he doesn't really have a strong mech.
No, he doesn't, does he?
This is a situation where I wish the AI was better. Because he just doesn't hold up as strong as like other fights because he doesn't play to his strengths well enough.
Yeah, the mid fight on the Carla level was like way harder than this guy.
And really what it is, he just has Snail just has better weapons because he has stronger weapons, he has more armor.
Yeah. Where's Pumpkin Man? Boo. Michael has one fan in chat and it's Tim. He was like 1,000 feet away from his phone, and I was like, you gotta be at your phone, or I can't hear you with this.
Even I'm farther away from Michael's phone. I sound better.
I can speak through Michael's phone better than he can do.
We don't have like enough researchers. A lot of the researchers that work at EPA also end up getting jobs at DuPont or vice versa. There's always a revolving door, tit for tat. Regulatory
capture
is something that these corporations do in an effort to monopolize and also improve their profit
using
margins,
Airbud
as
to
always.
listen while cooking.
So,
I wonder
in
if
that
the
structure,
microphone was still in the
EPA
phone.
basically
Oh man, this is driving me nuts. I can't.
delegated DuPont with
I would
figuring
love
out
to
how toxic
keep
their
making fun of Hassan, but I can't deal with my computer right now, with my internet. But also, why is Armored Core getting chunky on me too?
Your
You been
computer's
watching
gold.
the Sneeko stuff? What's the Sneeko stuff? Is he
I don't
still?
care about Sneeko. He's a loser.
Is he still an Islamic national or whatever? He was mad this episode. Aren't they all mad? Nah, I'm out. Just play FE8 while watching the FE video. Didn't I play FE8?
No, that was 7.
Oh, that was 7?
Yeah, Sacred Stones is pretty fun. I like it.
Secret Stones. I gotta play,
You have to play Momon.
How many more missions? Yeah, how many more missions do we have? If I'm at chapter 5, breach the Carmen line.
There's only like a couple more. There's
Only-
probably like 2 more.
2 more? Okay.
I believe it's, yeah, just 2, because there's 3 in each ending, and the first one counts as 1.
Cool. Then I'll probably beat this tomorrow, and then we'll switch over to Moemon. It's 1 a.m. It's true. Yeah, I'll reach out to NH and be like, "Hey, bro, where do I get my my Moemon Heart Gold? Which one should I play? Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
I mean, just ask what's his face. He'll have a good answer for you, I'm sure.
Oh, maybe Soap or whatever that one is. Yeah, I'll reach out to him and be like, "Hey, I'm done with this. We'll play some more Moemon, and we'll get into that." In the meantime, tomorrow we have Waifu Wednesday. Waifu Wednesday this week is going to be paired with some amount of panel planning. So my panel co-host will be on, and we will.
You know
be,
what we should. You should have
chatting about that. Should have what?
We should have you play Last Promise.
Last Promise. What's that?
Michael knows what it is.
Okay.
We'll talk about it in another time.
Awesome. So we'll do some panel planning tomorrow, as well as our Waifu Wednesday normal show. Thursday we got Mark the Cyborg while I'm playing Moemon, so that should be a fun episode. We can talk with him about
games, anime.
Yeah, I love his
Or
take
just,
on
like,
the rating
food
system.
stuff.
I kind of want to get into more of like what does he do, because like there's this thing that happens, right,
Yeah.
where like games start to become your job. So what does he actually do to relax? I'm curious why watch modern shows when you could just watch more anime, all that kind of stuff.
Why would you watch Ahsoka when you could just watch How to Train Your Dragon?
I am on Rumble, Tim. I am currently on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and Twitter. Simulcasting.
Oh, I can't remember who the guy was that. There was one of the anime videos I watched that really liked Sleepy Princess Demon Castle. I think it was the one that you didn't finish that I wanted you to watch, which was the guy that talks about when to drop shows, and which is literally anytime you want. Literally anytime you want, just do it.
Yeah,
He really likes Sleepy
Princess.
Princess
But
and
he likes
Demon
Sleepy
Castle.
Princess.
Yeah, that guy likes Sleepy Princess Demon Castle a lot. I was like, yeah, it's a good one. I think Mark would
seemed
like
cute.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it probably doesn't really need more than like 4 episodes. It's just good enough as it is.
It's decent.
And if you really like that kind of stuff, you can watch more. But otherwise, just watch a couple episodes. And you're like, that's fun. That's good enough, though.
That was fun. I don't want to watch this anymore.
It doesn't. You don't need it to overstay its welcome.
Exactly. Watch anime and the old DreamWorks stuff like Moses El Dorado movie, not just Kung Fu Panda. You got it.
Yes, that's a good one.
You got it. All right, so and then Friday, of course, we got Fun Time Friday. So that's our week. Look forward to more shorts. I've just been digging through my archive of weird videos that I've taken on vacations to Japan. So we'll have some more of that pulled out. Or
it seems like those do well.
Yeah, they've been like numbers wise. I mean, nothing is beating the. Let me pull it up. Hey, 438, sweet. Nothing is beating.
The
Scooby
Halloween
Gang.
video.
Yeah.
But the little truck video did really good, yeah.
These are my top content in the last 28 days. The Scooby-Doo video, 10,000 views. The the tiny truck picking stuff up, 8,200. And then me parking my electric vehicle, 6,000. Those are all my like these
I didn't
sorts
see your
of-
electric video, but yeah, the barbecue ones also did well.
I'm shocked by that one, but it is really short. So
It's
I
also
think,
just funny.
I think it helps when something's just really short and quick because then somebody will watch it.
Can't even click
and,
off.
Yeah, it'll play twice before they can swipe away. So you get 2 views for every person. It's got to be the reason.
I think it's also funny enough somebody will actually just show it to their friend.
Or they aren't watching. They kind of like look away for a second and they're like, "Wait, what? What happened?" Like, because you have to physically see what happens in that video to know what's going on. So
yeah,
I think that helps. We'll see. Forbidden Chocolate is pretty short, so if that one does well, then we'll know it's just doing short stuff. Or if I just have to be more clever, we'll see. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will catch you all tomorrow for Waifu Wednesday. Kampai.
Kampai.